coming at you on a Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're as fired up as we are to be back with you for 4 hours of sports talk this afternoon. A winning weekend for the Royals. It's a game week for the Kansas City Chiefs. The coaches poll for college football is out. We're getting closer and closer to college football season. It's a great day to be alive and talking sports, and we're glad you're with us here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our live video stream, whether you're watching on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on Facebook. You're checking us out on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you're consuming the show today, we appreciate you being along for the ride. I'm Dan Lucero. Brendan Wrzinski is in studio with me. Summer intern Trenton Craxner is across the glass, our producer engineer this afternoon. And with all of the things that I just mentioned, you understand we are jam-packed today. We are absolutely Phil Steele level jam-packed with sports information on this Monday.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. We got a lot to get to.
If we were going to script this show, it would be in that like size 6 font that Phil Steele uses in the magazine.
Single space. Abbreviations for everything.
Lots of abbreviations.
A lot of VTs and VRTs or whatever the hell it all says. Yeah, a lot of that. Nothing is spelled properly.
We are all VHTs, by the way.
HT, that's what it is.
We are all VHTs. We are all very highly touted. That's what we are.
That's a little too kind to me, but I appreciate it.
I would disagree. I think we're all VHTs in this room. Anyhow, lots to get to on today's program. Kansas City Royals. Yeah. We're still leading with Royals baseball on August 5th. It is a game week for the Chiefs. They have a game in Jacksonville, their first preseason game of the season as they prepare to defend their Super Bowl championship and try to be the first team ever to win 3 straight Super Bowls. And they are still not our top story because the Royals are red hot and holding firm to playoff position in the American League.
Dude, it might be more pleasant weather-wise, literally in hell, than in the middle of August in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's a tough draw.
That sounds miserable.
I think that's why they're playing it at night.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, this is not going to be a noon kick.
On
August 10th. It is a nighttime kickoff.
Like if I'm the Jags, I'm doing I guess you want to be prepared to play your games in the heat, so it makes sense to stay down there. But to just make sure no one gets heat stroke or anything, like I'm going to Quebec. Like we're doing our camp at McGill up in Ontario.
Training camp, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yes. Do it at Mosaic. I totally botched the province a moment ago, but yes, I do know where Regina is, thankfully. Yeah, go up to Mosaic and do it. Go to BC Place. Traverse the entire continent and go to Vancouver and do it.
One thing is for certain, the Chiefs are clearly looking forward to hitting other people in a football sense, another team, a different colored uniform, because today they all wanted to hit each other and not in the
it's that time of camp,
not in the football way either. There were multiple skirmishes, including one that resulted in Rashee Rice throwing a football at somebody and B up.
Not great.
Hey, on the flip side, bright side here, spin zone.
He's lighter for the season.
Yes, he's dropped some weight. And every time Rashee Rice pukes at training camp, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
It also means he's not driving.
Yes.
You know who's in the middle of that again, though? Jack Cochran. You remember who Travis Kelce punched in the head last year? Jack Cochran.
Yeah.
So, 3-peat on the way.
He's kind of nasty.
Yeah, maybe he's the problem.
3-peat on the way. He does a lot for a guy that only plays special teams, trying to fight with the stars on the team.
Do you think
instigator?
Do you think Travis Kelce walked up to Jack Cochran and said, "It's you, buddy. Hi, you're the problem. It's you." Do you get that? Does everybody get the reference?
Yes.
Good
Okay.
Taylor Swift
Thank
reference.
you so much. I'm in good form for a Monday. I really and truly am.
Good, huh?
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Anyway, lots of Chiefs stuff to get to today. Andy Reid spoke to the media earlier, talked about some of those training camp skirmishes and some other things going on at camp. We'll hear from Big Red later on this hour. We'll hear from Chamarri Connor in the 3:00 hour as well, the second-year defensive back from Virginia Tech, also speaking to the media. And our NFL insider will join us at the bottom of the 3:00 hour, Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, that football show on KC Sports Network, and his own Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Matt's going to join us, as he always does, on Monday, bottom of the 3:00 hour. We'll get his thoughts on everything going on at training camps across the league, including Chiefs camp at Missouri Western. Also, another training camp report from the great voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. He's going to join us live. We're back in the 5 o'clock hour today after a couple of days off from the 5 o'clock hour due to the Royals being on the Eastern or in the Eastern time zone. So we are back live with Mitch at 5:25 this afternoon. Mitch joins us. His training camp reports brought to you by Hy-Vee and by Azure Credit Union. We're going to talk to Mitch later on in the show as well. So lots of great NFL content. Got some college football content today as well. The first coaches poll is out. First time in 16 years, KU is ranked in the preseason. K-State is ranked above them, but not the highest ranked Big 12 team, as all of the preseason chatter would have probably led you to believe. We'll break down a poll that's going by a new name that really confused me. I thought for a second USA Today had changed its name as a publication. Yes. No, they sold naming rights to the coaches poll. The coaches poll now has a title sponsor. So we'll discuss that and talk about where K-State, KU fall, where the rest of the Big 12 falls. Interesting note from Vegas, from our friends in the desert, about which Big 12 team is taking the most bets to be the conference champion. It's not K-State and it's not KU. We'll tell you who it is. That's all coming up later on in the show as well.
How mad am I going to be by this?
How mad? I don't think you're going to be mad.
No, I'm not mad.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be mad. I don't think you're going to be surprised even when we finally get there. You're gonna hear it and you're gonna say, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
This is the most interesting team in the conference to me.
Okay.
In terms of expectations for them, I think they're the most interesting team in the conference.
That's what we call a tease, folks. That's coming up a little bit later on in the show. Plus, all the stuff you've come to know and love from a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll do the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend. We'll have our first round of What is Wrong with You for a new week. We'll have an Olympic roundup, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Fabulous weekend of athletic competition at the Olympics. We will talk all about it. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, top of the 5 o'clock hour, of course, as well. You are invited and encouraged to be part of this edition of 580 Sports Talk. There are multiple ways you can do that. The Top City Metal Supply text line is open for business. From construction sites to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money, just metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply is located on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. Top City Metal Supply text line number 785-272-9429. You can send us texts throughout the show. You can also interact if you are watching the show on YouTube. We encourage you to watch the show, not just because we want you to look at our pretty faces, but because it's a fun time, because the YouTube live chat is always popping. You go to YouTube, you go to our channel, 580 Sports Talk, you watch the live show, the live chat is up, and you can interact with fellow listeners and interact with your hosts.
You know, We've got some Royals tickets to give away today.
We do. We're going to give a pair of tickets away for tomorrow night's game against the Red Sox. We're going to visit the DM injury law ticket window quite a bit this week, including later on this week, a couple of 4-packs to see the Cardinals Friday and Saturday. So be listening for that this week.
I think today, this hour, in fact, I think you got to be subscribed to the YouTube to win some tickets.
Is that right?
I think you guys got to work for these tickets a little bit.
Okay. So there you have it. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube,
go do it.
Go do it right now so you can be eligible to win tickets to see the Red Sox and the Royals tomorrow night at Kauffman Stadium. I don't know why I gave the Red Sox top billing. Normally, that might be the case. Last few years, that might have been the case. But no, it's the Royals and the Red Sox tomorrow night at the K, 7:10 first pitch. We've got a pair of tickets to give away. We're going to give it away later on this show at the DM Injury Law ticket window. So get yourself subscribed and get ready, get your dial-in fingers ready to win those tickets.
580 Sports Talk on YouTube. It is very easy to find. YouTube.com. If you want to just type in the URL, it's youtube.com/@580 Sports Talk, or just go to YouTube and search 580 Sports Talk. That's the easiest way to find us. Got to be subscribed, though. Make you put in a little work.
Yeah.
We work our buns off every day for this program. You got to reciprocate a little bit.
So that's coming up. I tried to sneak a quick drink of water.
Sorry, I couldn't see what you were doing. I should have filled in a few extra words there, covered it up.
That's all right. We're all good. We're moving forward. Be listening for your chance to win those Royals tickets and be subscribed to the YouTube comments. We begin, however, with our top story, the red hot Kansas City Royals. And look, 5-2 on that road trip through Chicago and Detroit would have been perfectly fine. It would have been a good road trip even. Like you say at the beginning of that road trip, they go 5-2, win both series, win a series in Chicago, win a series in Detroit. Hell yeah, sign me up. 5-2, great. But the way the trip started with the 5 straight wins and the way things unfolded on Saturday night with the bullpen meltdown, hacking away a 3-1 lead in the 9th and a 4-3 lead in the 10th and a 5-4 lead in the 11th. If the Royals had not found a way to win on Sunday, it would have felt incredibly unsatisfying to not win the Tigers series.
Agreed.
And it wouldn't have counted against the Royals' disappointing record in rubber games. As we've mentioned, the Royals are 3-11 in their last 14 rubber games. Wouldn't have counted against that record because there's no rubber game in a 4-game series. But this game functioned like it for the Royals. You win the game, you win the series. You lose the game, you don't win the series. And in this game, on a bullpen day for the Tigers, the Royals' bats were AWOL for 8 innings. A lot of weak contact, a lot of roll-me-over ground balls, not a lot of deep at-bats, not making these guys work out of the bullpen. Look, bullpen games are tricky. Sometimes it's hard to adjust when you're seeing a new arm every time you come to the plate.
Right.
That can be an advantage. That's why teams do it. Sometimes it can be advantageous. And it looked like it was going to work to Detroit's favor, despite a good outing from Michael Wacha, 6 strong, only 2 runs allowed. And then the 9th inning arrived, and Hunter Renfroe and Freddie Fermin, both of whom have been so good as of late. We'll have more to say about Freddie Fermin later on this hour. They got the rally going. Adam Frazier just missed going long. MJ Melendez did not. He made his one swing of the day count on a hanging splitter from Shelby Miller, a 3-run home run. As Christopher points out in the YouTube live chat, he's the first pinch hitter to hit a home run to take the Royals from a deficit to the lead in the 9th inning since 1991. That's a long time. Christopher also has a poem, and we got to, when the bard speaks, we listen. Saturday's game was a dud. Yeah, it was. More about those circumstances later on this hour. Sunday's offense was stuck in the mud, but one swing of the bat got him up off the mat, courtesy of MJ the Stud. Now, MJ Melendez, Mervil Samuel Melendez, if you'd like. The power's never been in question. It's all about getting to his pitch and not missing mistakes. The thing that has been frustrating about Melendez this year, and really the last couple of years, as his numbers have gone backwards, his offense production has gone the wrong direction since his rookie campaign in 2022. The biggest point of frustration when you watch him is how often he misses hittable pitches. Pitches that are in the center of the zone or up. Fastballs he just gets beat on. Like he just gets beat on fastballs too often. The thing about a hanging splitter, it's not fastball speed. That's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And MJ Melendez made sure he did not miss his pitch. He delivered the 3-run home run, and the Royals got out of it in the 9th inning. For a guy who has struggled, for a guy who has had a disappointing season, MJ Melendez has had some big moments. He had the grand slam in L.A. He had that game-tying homer against Seattle. Royals wanted to lose that game in extras, but still, that was a big moment with 2 outs in the 9th inning of a home game. I think that was a Sunday afternoon. And now this, one of the biggest swings of the season, to take that road trip from good but disappointing to a major positive, a taking care of business kind of road trip. That is what you have to do to the worst team in baseball and a reeling Tigers team without any of their best players. That was what you had to do if you're a serious team. 6-1 was a very serious outcome for this road trip.
I feel like this is what we have kind of been hoping the Royals could provide all year long with the bench and with the non-star players, like the ability to come up in a big moment and not think, like, I hope you get hit by a pitch so we can get to a better batter at some point this inning. Like the actual idea that there is some pop that can come off the bench, or 6 through 9, you've got a guy who can actually hit the ball into the outfield. We haven't seen a lot of that this year, but the fact that MJ of all people, and Trevor put it on our YouTube live chat earlier, said it was actually insane. Yeah, it really was, because that's one of the least trustworthy guys I think the Royals have, to be completely honest with you, because he has missed mistakes. He has gotten a pitch to hit and not been able to take advantage of it for too much of his career, honestly. So that was positive. That was encouraging. It's been what I've really hoped to see from this Royals team all year, that are there times when you can pick up Witt and Pasquantino and Perez, because they cannot do everything. And there will be games when Witt does not have a great day. Not often, but sometimes. Can you find a way to pick him up? I wouldn't bank on this being a regular form of offense for this team. The pinch hit, go-ahead home run, especially for a guy who has struggled as much as Melendez has. But, I'll take it. You move on. You don't apologize. And now you got 3 big ones against Boston.
You know what I told Brendan down in the office before the show is if I told you MJ Melendez had 13 home runs in August, back in March, you'd probably be like, okay, great. He only had 16 last year. But the caveat is he's hitting 195 still. So he has 56 hits this year. 15 doubles, 2 triples, and 13 home runs. That's 30 of his 56 hits. He has 26 singles. He's also struck out 79 times this year. I mean, he has the big swing occasionally, but as you mentioned, he misses too much in the middle. So he might come up with a clutch home run here, but he's also hitting 195. So he's still another crater in the lineup 90% of the time.
It has. It's been a disappointing season. It really has. But the one thing that MJ Melendez is never going to lack for is confidence. You just watch him and you know that when he comes to the plate, he thinks he's going to get a hit. I don't see him give a lot of at-bats away. He'll get beat. He does strike out too much. He does make weak contact more often than you'd like. But the power's there, the speed's there. That gives him the chance for those extra base hits. The confidence does not waver for him. And that's a good guy to be able to plug in off the bench and think, hey, look, we make contact. He can jump the yard. He can flip the game. That's not you're not bringing Dairon Blanco off the bench to try and flip the game. You're not bringing Garrett
only
Hampson
if he's
off
stealing
the
the bases,
right?
Only because he did that in the 11th inning Saturday. But one thing, MJ Melendez is kind of like Javi Baez in this. He is not going to get cheated at the plate. No, he is not going to get cheated when he swings the bat.
And that's a pretty good thing to have off the bench. That's a solid weapon. If he's going to play less moving forward for the Royals, that's not a bad option to have in a spot like that.
No, it's not. I don't know though. I mean,
it doesn't redeem. It does not redeem his disappointing season.
Right.
No, that's not what I'm not relitigating the entirety of 2024 for MJ Melendez.
But it's hard with him because I don't really want that bat in the lineup every day. But I don't know how much this makes sense worded this way, but I feel like you'd rather have him be a starter than a bench piece. Some guys you'd say, wow, a player who could start, who is actually our 10th bat, that's a luxury. That's a really nice thing to have. I don't really think of MJ Melendez as that kind of player. This is going to sound meaner than I mean it to, but he's Justin Fields to me. Justin Fields isn't a backup quarterback to me. A guy who takes a ton of sacks and doesn't take care of the ball, that's not a backup. But as a starter, the idea is you can maximize the athletic gifts and you can create a full offensive package based around that.
If I only get one hit from MJ, it's got a chance to be an extra base hit. If I can get that hit with a runner on, or if I can get that hit to jumpstart a rally, or if that hit leaves the ballpark, there's still value in a guy who hits for power.
And I'd rather try to bank on that in rhythm than maybe I'm going too far with this. It was one moment. It was a cool moment. You move on from it. But it's a tough spot to be in because he's been so bad at the plate, but I still think I would rather have him be your 8 hitter in left field every day, especially because his glove has gotten better, and, try, get 4 bites at that one big swing in a game as opposed to throwing him in cold.
And he had more of you're talking about extra base hits. Yeah, he has more extra base hits than singles this year when he has got a hit. So he has that potential, but your other option, unless you're moving an infielder out there to play the outfield, your other 2 options in left field to start is Dairon Blanco and Garrett Hampson, who have a combined 1 home run this year and all the at-bats that they've had, which has to amount to more than what Melendez has at the plate. So he had, like you said, he has that potential, and he's so much a better defender. Unless you want to put someone like Frazier, someone that's an infielder in the outfield, I mean, you're kind of in a pinch in that sense.
One quick note here. This is from Christopher in the YouTube live chat. It says, Adam Frazier had just missed one by about 5 feet in the previous at-bat. Shelby Miller was destined to be disastrous. It seems the Royals have always destroyed him, no matter what team Miller is playing for. That is true. Shelby Miller in his career against the Royals, 7 appearances, 11 2/3 innings, 19 earned runs allowed.
Yeesh.
That is a 14.66 ERA.
A team OPS over 1,000 against in his career.
Remember when the Royals put up 9 straight hits on Friday night? You know who came in after Tarek Skubal?
Yeah, that was
Shelby Miller. Yeah,
he didn't get an out.
Yeah, that's when the Royals broke the game open.
All right. that was obviously big on Friday. Then Saturday, we'll set that one aside. We'll talk about that one a little bit. But Saturday, Hunter Harvey comes in with a 2-run lead, lets it get away, gives up the home run to Madras, gives up doubles to McKinstry and Baez, leaves the game tied at 3, ends up going to extra innings. Royals losing 11. Trenton, were you watching live yesterday?
I was. I missed like the first 5 innings, but I caught like the 6th through the 9th.
Okay. 1-run game, 9th inning. Hunter Harvey enters from the bullpen. Are you allowed on the radio, per FCC regulations, to say what you thought when you saw Hunter Harvey coming out of the bullpen?
Yes. I was nervous, but I would be a lot more upset if it was James MacArthur walking out of the bullpen because
the enemy of the enemy is my friend.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you kind of knew it wasn't going to be Urseg, right? That would have been 4 games in 5 working for Urseg.
Although he'd only thrown 14 pitches on back-to-back days, a 5-pitch inning, then a 9-pitch inning. So he hadn't been overused, but I understand it. I like that they threw Harvey out there. I know we've talked about this through our little group chat, that he has the good stuff. So he's more trustworthy because he has that overpowering fastball. And that's what he did to Javier Baez. He overpowered him for the first out of the inning. I mean, was I nervous? Yes. But I still think he's in the trust circle, the upper echelon of the bullpen, just for a little bit longer.
So Harvey gets the ball in the 9th, and if it works out, and in the end it did, it looks like a little master stroke of genius from Matt Quatrero to maintain your confidence in your guy after he blew the save the night before. I don't know how many Royals fans felt that way or were as sanguine, even as you were, Trenton, at the time. But I am not worried about Hunter Harvey long-term. I think that there's a difference between a pitcher who right now just doesn't have the ability to get big league hitters out. You already mentioned a guy right now who doesn't have that ability. And again, we're going to get to James MacArthur. We're going to get to the general. And there's a difference between a guy like that and then a guy who's just kind of fighting it a little bit, who's just like slumping a little bit. And I think that's where we're at with Hunter Harvey. I don't think he has great feel for a split finger fastball. He hung the one he threw to Madras for the leadoff home run in the 9th on Saturday. Then he didn't have a good enough feel for it to throw it 3-2 to McKinstry, and McKinstry knew it, and he jumped that fastball. Like, that's 98 up at the zone. That's a good pitch if you don't know it's coming. But if you're sitting on it, that's a pitch you can hit pretty hard. And that's what McKinstry did for the double. And then he threw a pretty good splitter to Javi Baez. He just threw it a bad spot. He ran into Baez's barrel.
Javi Baez becomes prime Javi Baez against the Royals because they don't pitch him outside like every other team does. They throw him.
They don't throw him just the sloppiest sliders in the dirt away.
I don't know. I mean, this thought just popped into my head. You remember last time when they played the Cubs and Hunter Harvey left due to back problems? Do you think that's affecting him right now? Maybe that just popped into my head. That maybe
it's not impossible.
Maybe he's a little uncomfortable right now. Still,
it could be. I don't know if it's that. I think the splitter. Like when you watch some of his in slow motion, it just looks like he's not on top of the pitch real consistently, because you can't be on the side of that splitter. You're just going to tug it. You're going to bounce it. You got to be on top of it and really throwing it with conviction. And I just think right now he's fighting that feel. I'd like to see him get a day off tonight if the Royals can stay off of him tonight, maybe even tomorrow too, if they're able, just to see if he can throw it on the side and get the feel, get the release for that pitch right. I do not think that Hunter Harvey is a bust. I do not think he is suddenly a bad pitcher who can't get anybody out. I just think that he's fighting his best secondary pitch right now.
It's a bet that they make on their process, right? That's what we talked about on the show on Friday when it comes to roster construction and what the Royals have intentionally tried to do when it comes to building their bullpen and getting guys who throw nasty stuff. Their arsenal has a bunch of creativity or depth or just nastiness to it. You're leaning into that. You're not going to try to add guys like Harvey or Urseg who throw good above average stuff and then not lean on it when you get a chance to. That's the reason you build a bullpen like that, is to use that particular skill. So it is betting that your process over the long haul is going to work out.
And speaking of bullpen process, I really like the way the Royals are deploying Lucas Urseg. They have decided, upon acquiring the hard-throwing right-hander from Oakland, that he is their best guy. And I think that is they
are correct.
Yes, that is a reasonable assumption to make, that Lucas Urseg is their best reliever. I loved the way they used him on Friday night and the way it worked out for the Royals, because he came in the 6th. Cole Reagans, again, a little bit sloppy early. The velocity's down for Cole Reagans. I don't know that he's going to get back to 98, 99, 100 this season. He might just not have that in the tank. He might just have to get guys out with 93 to 96 the rest of the way as he flies past his career high in innings pitched. But he gritted and grinded his way through 5 2/3 decent innings, 2 on, 2 out, tie game, bottom of the sixth, Urseg in the ball game. And he gets the out to get out of that jam. And then the Royals play merry-go-round, the all-time homage to the 2015 Royals that this team has done this season. A keep the line moving inning if ever there was one, with 9 consecutive hits and only one of them an extra base hit. That totally ruled. And then that was it. Urseg could take a breather because the game's 9-2 and you don't need any of your leverage guys. That's when you can go to Will Smith or Chris Stratton or whomever. You can use those guys when it's a lower leverage situation. But Urseg in the 6th in that game, because that was the moment that called for Urseg. So if you're watching the Royals the last 2 days and you see Hunter Harvey in the 9th for a save situation on Saturday and Hunter Harvey in the 9th yesterday, do not suddenly assume that Hunter Harvey is the closer. Harvey worked the 9th on Saturday because Urseg worked the 8th. You know why Urseg worked the 8th?
Because that was 2, 3, and 4.
It's 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. Those were the best hitters for Detroit, and that was where in a 2-run game, Matt Quatrero wanted to use Urseg. This is not Ned. Aaron Crow's inning is the 7th Yost we're dealing with here, right? Ned Yost believed in a very regimented bullpen to use. Madsen in the 6th, Herrera in the 7th, Davis in the 8th, Holland in the 9th. I'm using my guys in my spots. No matter who's coming up, no matter what the score, the situation is, that's where I'm going to my guys. Matt Quatrero is going to use Lucas Urseg for the toughest outs. And that is the best possible use of your best reliever. So I give Matt Quatrero a lot of credit for A, correctly deducing who his best guy is, and B, using him in a way that's going to maximize his impact on winning baseball games.
I mean, yet again, it's the bet on process. Why would you get Matt Quatrero and then not want to do Matt Quatrero, Rays, Guardians things? That's the whole reason you steer into this, is to do things like that. So I would expect the Royals to handle that in a more enlightened way, and I'm glad that they do. That's how you should handle it. The highest leverage should be handled by the most important guy in the bullpen.
And I didn't mind them deploying Harvey in the 9th. I thought after he struggled before that Baez hit back, because he had his 3 batters, they should have taken him out because he wasn't feeling it. But I didn't mind it initially. I was like, okay, Hunter Harvey, I understand. This is what you got him for. But yeah, I thought they should have taken him out before it blew up the Baez at bat, because he had his 3-batter limit, and it was obvious he didn't have it that night. But that happens.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen, no matter who you have at the back end, the gold standard for Royals fans maybe is higher than the gold standard for any other fan base ever, because of how good those 2014-15 bullpens were. But even the best bullpens are going to let one get away, and one got away on Saturday, and that's the only thing that kept this from being a literally perfect road trip. But 6-1, pretty damn good, and the Royals have MJ Melendez, of all people, to thank for that. We're going to talk about one Royal who had a really good road trip and one Royal who had a really bad road trip on the other side of this first time out. But first, it's time to check in on the DM Injury Law Royals ticket window. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. And you've got 2 tickets to the Royals and the Red Sox tomorrow night, 7:10 first pitch. If you are caller number 5 to 785-272-9429. Folks, if you have already won tickets this season, let somebody else win these, won't you? You're on the honor system here. Be buddies with somebody else and let them try and get these tickets for tomorrow night. 785-272-9429. Caller number 5 is going to the K. We're taking a break. Come back with more. We're just getting started from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Congratulations to Trevor, our ticket winner of a pair to see the Red Sox and the Royals tomorrow night at Kauffman Stadium. Our thanks to him for calling, knocking on the DM Injury Law Royals ticket window. We will give away tickets to Wednesday night's game tomorrow. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we will give away a pair, or rather family 4-packs for the Cardinals series. We've managed to get our hands on a couple of family 4-packs for the Cardinals series Friday and Saturday. You don't want to know what I had to do to get a hold of those family 4-packs.
Dan, do you remember the Netflix documentary about Firefest?
I do, but it wasn't that. I promise you. I did not go to those links.
That meme was going. What was his name? Andy King.
King. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That meme was putting up 27 Yankees numbers after that movie came out.
It still would, honestly. That's
so good.
Like, you know what that means. When you post that meme, you know you went to great lengths to get something done.
That's one of my favorite documentaries. It's so outrageous. Billy McFarland, all-time bad guy.
I keep meaning to share that with my wife, and I have not gotten around to doing it, but I really do need to. It is an all-timer. It's so good.
The funniest part of the entire documentary is at the end when they all realize, like, oh my God, we're going to get sued to oblivion. And Ja Rule goes, "We did not commit fraud. It was false advertising."
Yeah, it was not.
Ja, what do you think that is?
Nobody wants Ja Rule's opinion on the situation. Nobody.
I don't want to
needs
dance. I'm
that.
scared to death.
Where is Ja?
Let's bring in Ja Rule for his opinion on this.
Where is Ja? All-time great.
Does Ja Rule know about this?
All right. Again, our thanks to Trevor for being our winner today, and be staying tuned throughout the week. And again, we do want to give them to some first-time winners. If you haven't had a chance to win, or maybe it's been a while, maybe you won back in April or May. We want to keep the ticket window open for some new folks to get a chance to go see the Royals. Before we get back into the Royals, some breaking Chiefs news during the timeout. Ian Rappaport first to report that the Chiefs and star kicker Harrison Butker have agreed to terms on a contract extension to make him the highest paid kicker in the NFL. Butker represented himself in making the deal. He only believes in sharing profits with one person.
The Prophet.
The Prophet. Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer, honestly, if you're the Chiefs. The only reason you wouldn't make this move is if you were worried about a roster crunch and a money crunch elsewhere and thought you had to trim something. Otherwise, I mean, he probably should have been first-team All-Pro last year. Brandon Aubrey for the Cowboys was great, but, I mean, Butker was too. He had a great argument to be first-team All-Pro. So, easy deal to get done. I am curious to see what the guarantee looks like, though.
Yeah, I will be interested to see that as well. Again, he is the highest-paid kicker in the National Football League. Here it is. Ian Rappaport has it. 4 years, $25.6 million, $17.8 million guaranteed. $6.4 million a year makes him the highest paid kicker in the NFL.
Man, kicker salary is going up. Kickers don't often finish off their contracts because they're just usually the first to go, because every kicker at some point is considered overpaid. But that's a lot of guaranteed money on that contract. I mean, this is at least 3 more years of Butker after the end of this deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to that 4th year either. Interesting, but not surprising.
No.
Keep great players. He's a great kicker.
So congratulations to Harrison Butker, the highest paid kicker in the NFL. More about that a little later on as we get into the Chiefs. We're going to hear from Andy Reid here in a little bit. I wanted to talk really quick about a Royal that had a really good week and a Royal who had a really bad week. The Royal had a really good week. Freddie Fermin, new leadoff hitter against left-handed batters.
Bye.
Freddie Fermin. I like it. Again, not a traditional leadoff man.
That's fine.
But you got to try something. Like, the Royals don't have a traditional leadoff man, right? They just don't. They don't have. There's not a traditional leadoff man on this team. You're going to have to be creative to try and find some guys who are going to do a little damage. Who are going to be on base ahead of Bobby Witt Jr. hitting the ball in the gap. Who are going to be on third base when Vinny Pasquantino hits his sac flies. Like, you got to do something to try and jumpstart the batting order. And Freddie Fermin has earned the at bats. He's just a remarkable story, and it gets better and better Every time he comes up with a big swing, he had a really, really good road trip. And I like how the Royals are deploying him. I think that's a creative solution that Q's going to try out in that leadoff spot. Now Royal had a bad week. I have been late.
We call this man the NASDAQ.
I have been late to sell my James MacArthur stock. As recently as last week, I was still saying, hey, look, you guys saved 18 games. He's not going to be shook by the ninth inning pressure. I still would rather hand him a lead than Will Smith. I'm not sure the Omaha Storm Chasers should be handing him leads any longer. Of the last 101 batters that James MacArthur has faced, he has struck out a grand total of 9. That is like cataclysmically bad. Like, it can't be that for a major league reliever. Like, no. the whole thing, and we talk about it. You have to be a bat misser out of the bullpen. You have to be able to get a strikeout. You have to be able to make somebody miss. And he didn't make anybody miss.
Nope.
And especially not left-handers. You saw how comfortable those swings were that the lefties got against him on Saturday when he turned that 1-run lead into a loss.
I got a bunch of James MacArthur stats.
Run them by us, Trenton.
Also, real quick tidbit, since you mentioned Will Smith, 1.63 ERA in his last 30 games. Maybe he should be back in the circle of trust. But James MacArthur, last 5 appearances, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 10 hits allowed, 9 earned runs, and 1 strikeout. He has the 3rd most blown saves in Major League Baseball, a 5.32 ERA. Opponents are hitting .311 off of him. He's striking out 6.55 guys per 9 innings, the 2nd lowest on the team.
That's bad.
Allowing 11.25 hits per 9 innings, highest on the roster. And his whip is 1.45, highest on the roster. Also, he has the lowest WAR of any pitcher on the roster at negative 0.7.
Man, it went south in a hurry because the start of the season was really promising. And I was high on a guy who, hey, he doesn't walk guys, and he keeps the ball in the ballpark. And they stopped keeping the ball in the ballpark. And it was like, well, hey, he's still not walking guys, and he's still missing bats. And they stopped missing bats. And when you stop missing bats and you start giving up home runs and loud contact, you're not only not a late inning option, you're a borderline big leaguer at that point.
110 on the triple that tied the game in the 11th, and then 103 on the game-winning hit. That was almost a wall-scraping home run. And yes, I've much maligned Hunter Renfroe for his speed, but I don't think anyone's catching those balls. Those are bullets. Those are rockets.
Those are frozen ropes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he might really need a reset at Omaha. Give Carlos Hernandez some mop-up innings. Maybe try Stratton or Smith.
You want to talk about holding stocks? I saw that 2021 season for Carlos Hernandez. I know what I saw.
Bring Alec Marsh back up, or Jonathan Bolin. Jonathan Bolin, they said before he got called up and got sent back down because of the roster moves. They tried him in the bullpen in Oman. He's looked good. Give him a shot. Or Marsh, go 6-man rotation.
Yep.
Let him loose. Rip it 98. I don't know.
We got to take a break. The head coach of the Chiefs, Andy Reid, spoke earlier today. We'll hear from Big Red next on 580 Sports Talk. 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studios on this Monday afternoon. Andy Reid spoke to the media in St. Joe earlier today. Here's what Big Red had to say.
Hayek didn't practice. Kelvin Joseph, no practice. Justin Reid, no practice. Deion Bush was out there practicing. Nazi practiced. And then Chris Jones got a little tweak to his shoulder, stinger type thing. So he came out for a little bit. Anyways, good work today. Guys are busting their tail, getting after it. Appreciate that. It's warm, so they're getting good heat work. With that, time's yours.
I know Isaiah spent a lot of time working on his receiving. What have you seen? Does he look like he's growing in that department?
Isaiah, yeah, he's doing a nice job. Yeah, he's good with all that. Protection's good there, no problem. Yep.
And thinking back to 2017, what went into the successful development of Pat Mahomes? And I know so many people are like, well, you sat him a year, but what was happening behind the scenes there?
Yeah, well, guy, he worked. And he worked with Mike Kafka. He worked with Matt Nagy. Alex was a big part of that. But the bottom line was he worked, and studied. So. And then he's got gifts too. Let me add that in there. He's very gifted.
Was it picking that support staff? How important was that? Kafka and Nagy being the guys to help put him.
Yeah, those guys are very important. But yeah, you got to have good coaches, good players. Both are important. So yeah, those were important hires.
Andy, I know a few weeks you're going to have a lot of difficult decisions, particularly a wide receiver. But what are you looking for over the next month, and how difficult are some decisions are going to be?
Yeah. We tell the guys, make it as hard as you can on us when it comes to that time. Not everybody's going to make the team, but make it tough on us. And so they've got time to do that. With this schedule, that's one of the benefits. They have time to do that. Show us what you got. So, and they will be tough cuts.
Did you see much of a change in Drew Tranquil first year in camp to this year, sort of, having more command of the defense?
Yeah, he's very comfortable. I felt that way, though, towards the end of the year. Feel very comfortable with it. Well, we're working with his doctors. So he'll keep increasing as we go. I can't tell you exactly when and where he'll be live and all of that, but we'll just see how he continues to progress.
What do you? They asked about Drew. I was just curious, what do you guys feel like you have in Jack Conklin, especially with Holthus sort of out of the mix?
Yeah, Jack knows every position, every linebacker position. Probably knows every position, but he knows every position. Smart, athletic, and is a good commander out there. He gets everybody lined up, and you feel very secure with him in there.
You guys have been in camp for a while now. Do you feel that there's a little bit of a slump? And if so, how do you kind of work through, camp day after day after day?
Yeah, we give guys new stuff every day to work on. So try to stay out of that slump.
Just one of the observations of your new punter.
I like him. Just keep working. Consistency always as you go. But you can see it. He's booming the thing. Be curious to see in games. Let's see how he does there.
I know we saw your friend John Gruden who came the last couple of days.
Yeah.
What are you and John talking about? What brought him to town?
Well, he loves football. So, and he and I go way back, 30 years. So we've known each other a long time. So it's good to get him up here. He's always got good input on things. Very smart, very good great football coach. So enjoy having him around. Great energy.
That was Andy Reid speaking earlier today at Chiefs training camp, talking about his good friend John Gruden. They were on the same coaching staff in Green Bay, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That great coaching staff. Steve Mariucci was on that coaching staff. Ray Rhodes went on to be a head coach. Obviously, Mike Holmgren.
Ray Rhodes.
Well, he went on to be a head coach. I'm just saying a lot of it, like Steve Mariucci wasn't an awesome head coach.
That's true.
And Andy Reid, definitely the most accomplished of the group as a head coach.
Correct.
That's for sure. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that those guys, that Green Bay group, has all stayed in close touch. I can speak from experience. My great uncle was on that coaching staff in Green Bay in the early 90s as the offensive line coach, and he and Andy Reid are in touch to this day.
That's pretty cool.
Speak all the time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely some loyalty with those early 90s Green Bay staffs. Anyway, that was Andy Reid earlier today. We got lots more from Chiefs camp coming up, including we're going to hear from Chamarri Connor. We've also got some announcements about the show and about some other things we've got coming up that we want to make at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. So stay with us here at the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk.
Emporia State football fans will see an upgrade to Welch Stadium when attending home games in 2024. That upgrade comes to the seating. Over the summer, the Hornets replace old seats and seat backs that were originally installed in the 1990s. From a distance, the over 900 chairs spell out ESU, alternating yellow and black. The Hornets kick off the season with rival Washburn in Emporia on Thursday, August 29th.
The person killed after a car crashes into a home identified. Late Thursday night at Pontoon Street and Class Avenue, a car traveling on Pontoon left the road, ran into a yard, and landed upside down on the porch of the house. The passenger was thrown from the vehicle onto the roof of the porch. Police were able to speak to both the driver and the passenger. Troy L. Fields Jr. of Topeka. Fields was transported to the hospital where he later died. This is Kansas Information Network News.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. When you join My Lowe's Rewards for free, savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers, plus earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards, just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it. Literally. Learn more about our loyalty program at Lowes.com/MyLowe's Rewards and become a member for free today. Program is subject to terms and conditions. Points or rewards on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed for limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Hey, Dad, how much pizza for dinner? You want to run out?
Sure. I need big gas anyway. Give me one.
Cool. Hey, what's that body?
It's stable. You just add it to the fuel tank and it keeps these engines healthy. You start driving, I'll put some in your car too.
Like it.
How much money you got? At every fill or in your store. Start with stable.
Overall chances for wet weather looking low for Topeka and all of northeastern Kansas right through late day Wednesday. And seeing some small wind chances by Wednesday night, Thursday night, and for Friday. Coming in hot for the rest of our Monday, the high upper 90s and the low 70s tonight. We're going to trim our temperatures a little bit behind a dry front on Tuesday, mostly sunny, the high upper 80s. And keep it dry on Wednesday, that high upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Ramore from the Capital Federal Weather Center.
This is the voice of Kansas, WIBW Topeka.
Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming to you on this Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski with you. Trenton Craxner across the glass. Spencer Dupuis will be in later on. The gang will all be here. We are with you until 6 o'clock tonight, and then we'll have a little overtime for you until about 6:30, at which point we will make way for Royals baseball. Game 1 of a 3-game series between the Royals and the Red Sox. Major wild card implications this week at the K as the Royals currently hold a 2.5-game lead over Boston for the final wild card spot in the American League. Brady Singer and James Paxton, the scheduled starting pitchers tonight. First pitch at 7:10. The Royals Baseball Network pregame coverage begins at 6:30 right here on 580 WIBW. Appreciate you tuning in. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. If you're watching the YouTube or video stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on Facebook at WIBW News, you are seeing Brendan Dworzinski have a little bit of a meltdown about volleyball.
Yeah, men's volleyball, Team USA just dropped set 2, 30-28.
That's a long tiebreaker.
5 extra points. Yeah, that's frustrating. US was up 24-22, just needed one more, had a couple of set points, blew it. So one set apiece going to set 3.
We will maybe try and dial it in.
I'm telling you, man, it's the perfect sport. Like everything you want out of a sporting event, you get in volleyball. It's fast paced. There's not a whole lot of downtime. Reviews are pretty quick when there are reviews. the men's and women's games are both equally entertaining. There are two different forms of it that are both very entertaining. It's got technique, it's got power, it's got speed. You can be good at it in one way or the other, no matter how big you are. It's an awesome spectator sport. And I'm glad that more of it is becoming accessible beyond just college volleyball, because the more people who could watch it, the more people will accept, like, oh my God, this product is actually awesome.
There have been a couple of stops in my career where I've done play-by-play of high school and junior college volleyball on the radio. And every time I see volleyball on TV, it makes me miss broadcasting the sport. I really enjoy broadcasting volleyball and wish I got to do it more. One of my favorite sports to broadcast. Like,
no, it's a blast.
It is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I really do enjoy it. Anyhow, coming up this hour, our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, will join us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline coming up at the bottom of the hour. We've also got our good, bad, ugly from the sports weekend. And we're going to hear from Chiefs defensive back Chamarri Connor as we get into some Chiefs camp news and notes. But as we exited the 2 o'clock hour, I teased that we had some announcements about the show and some announcements about things we're doing around here at 580 WIBW in our sports coverage. And they are different than what we've been doing in the past, and change is never easy, and change doesn't always go over super well at first. But I sit here convinced that the changes that we're about to tell you about are positive changes and things that I think are going to be really, really good over the long haul here. The first thing regards our longtime Pigskin and Hoops magazine publication. For the last, 38 years?
37?
Is it 37, 38?
38.
We have
Close
published
to 4 decades.
We have published the 580 Pigskin and Hoops magazine with previews of the football and basketball seasons for our high schools here in the listening area. And it's been something that we all work real hard on it every single year. We appreciate so much the coaches who give us their input and let us know all the information we need about their programs to write them up. And we are going to continue that tradition this year, but it's going to look a little different. We are not going to have a print edition of the Pigskin and Hoops magazine this year. It will be an online-only product that you'll be able to find on our website, 580wibw.com, when it goes live starting August 19th. Beginning August 19th, we're going to start posting our football previews. So if you're a school in the area or you're root for a school in the area and you're accustomed to reading about your school in the Pigskin and Hoops magazine, you're still going to get to do that. It's just going to be online. And the thing that online gives us a chance to do, number one, be really current. We're going to be as current as we possibly can with schedules, with information. A lot of times we would get the print and there would be information that we would send to print that was not factual. It was old information because we had a print deadline of late July. And by the time we got the information out to people in August, that was sometimes too late to get the most up-to-date information. Also, if you made a typo, the typo lived forever. And that was something that was very hard to deal with, especially if you misspelled a name,
yes.
which is something we never endeavor to do, but it happens. We're human. So it's going to live online exclusively. There will be a landing page for it on our website, 580wibw.com, and we will be posting articles daily that are previews of the area schools. They will be just as in-depth as they've always been. A season in review, a preview of the next year, players to watch for in the area, comments from the head coaches, schedules, everything you've come to know from the Pigskin Hoops magazine. It's all going to be there. It's just going to live online. And that, we hope, will enable more people to read it as we can share it on our Facebook and on our Twitter or our other social media, and people involved with the program can share it that way as well, so it can get a little bit more reach, a little bit more distribution for us. It also gives us a chance to really hone in on football and then publish basketball right before basketball season. Because the thing about the print edition is we'd roll it out for football season. And then, of course, by the time basketball rolled around, then you'd really have some out-of-date information. So what this gives us a chance to do is write our basketball previews in the month of November so that when December rolls around, December 6th, the first competition day for basketball this year, there are going to be previews for all your area schools on the Pigskin and Hoops website or the landing page on 580wibw.com that will have the most up-to-date schedules and information and comments from the coaches about their programs. So
Yeah.
that is the future of the Pigskin and Hoops magazine for 2024. This is not necessarily a permanent change, but this is the way we're going to try and do it this year as an online publication. And we hope you guys enjoy it every bit as much as you did when it was a hard copy.
Yeah, I would like to add two things here. One, to the point you just made, Dan, we've got a question on our YouTube feed from Vance, who's asking if it's going to be online, will there be other focuses in addition to the football and the boys and girls basketball, like soccer, volleyball, other sports, etc. This, for now, it's almost beta mode. This is a new experience for us. It's a new way of publishing the magazines, and we don't know what it could look like. We might, at some point in the future, next year, years after, whatever, go back to print. It might live online permanently now. So we're still trying to work through what the future of the publication is going to look like. But this is something that I think the currentness that you brought up, Dan, is going to be really good, because we all know, all of us who are fans of high school sports, sometimes kids transfer during the summer. And when you got a team roster in May and a kid transferred in July, that information might not be up to date. So it's a living, breathing thing, and we'll continue to pump out the best product that we can. And Dan's going to do a great job heading it up, and we're really excited about it. I also would like to say, and this goes for everything here in this announcement portion of the show today, none of these decisions have been made lightly, and that goes for the magazine. It has been nearly 4 decades of every year this publication being in some form presented to you. This is something that means a lot to Dan. I know that for certain. I know it means a lot to me. If you want to go back and read that 2020 and 2021 copy of the magazine, you're going to see my name a lot in it. This is something I pretty much wrote on my own with a little help from Greg Akagi a couple years ago. Like, this is something that means a lot to this radio station, to you guys, and to us specifically. So we are doing this given, the folks who work in this building on the, the financial side of it, the best interest for us and all of that. I think this is going to work out for all of us, but please do not think like, oh, you're taking the easy way out. Everything's online. No, none of this was taken lightly at all. This was a lot of discussion and a lot of making sure we were making the right call.
And like I said, I think this is going to be, in the end, a positive. It'll be easier to share this with more people. Sometimes it's really hard to get grandma who lives in Kansas City or Des Moines, a chance to read about their grandson who's going to be one of the key players for an area football team. Well, now it'll be as easy as a click and a share on Facebook, or a retweet on Twitter, or an email with the link in it. And I think that's going to be something that gets these more reach and gives us a chance to more widely promote these high school athletes, which, again, it's a bit more of a modern way of doing it, but we really feel like it's the best course of action right now for the Pigskin and Hoops magazine. Starting August 19th, be on the lookout at 580wibw.com. Check our social media channels. Obviously, we'll promote the hell out of it here on the show and on our social media channels as well. Speaking of the show, the second announcement has to do with that. Since I have been here at 580 WIBW, and of course, anybody who knows me knows that's been off and on since September of 2016. The length of the offering that is 580 Sports Talk has fluctuated. When I started here, 580 Sports Talk was a 2-hour show, and then it was a 4-hour show with 3 people, and then it was a 4-hour show with 2 people for a good while during COVID, until a third person was added to that. And then when I returned, we went to 6 hours of sports talk programming, including a 3-hour version of 580 Sports Talk. And of course, the dearly departed Mic'd Up with Jake LeBon and Fulton Caster there from noon to 3 back in the day. Those folks will remember that. And we did that for about a year. And then we went back to the 4-hour format with fewer people when Fulton left the station. Perhaps you have noticed, and it would be very hard, I think, not to, if you are a frequent listener / viewer of the program, that the attendance has been a little more irregular for the cast of characters. Every one of us, myself, Brendan Dorzinski, Spencer Dupuis, we have all taken on in the last 2 months more added responsibility around the radio station. That is why you hear Spencer Dupuis' voice sometimes doing ag updates, giving you the cash grains and updates on ag on the Kansas Ag Network throughout the day. That is why perhaps if you are a local business owner, you have seen Brendan darken your door and try and do some marketing consulting for us here at the station. Everybody's got more of a role to play at the station right now. Another thing that is happening with 580 WIBW is we are trying to reach an audience that is a big part and always has been a big part of our listening audience on the station, and that is the ag audience. You and I both, Brendan, have heard from people who tell us we listen to the show on the tractor. We listen to the show on the combine. We listen to the show while we're baling hay. We listen to the show out while we're doing farm chores. The ag audience to 580 WIBW has been massive over the years. And we as a company are trying to find a way to more effectively reach and inform that ag audience. So in keeping with both of those things, a sports staff that is stretched a little more thin than it has been, and a desire to reach the ag listeners, we will be shortening 580 Sports Talk beginning with next Monday's show, the 12th, to a 3-hour program. You will hear Agri-Talk, which is a nationally syndicated ag program, from 2 to 3 here on 580 WIBW. And then from 3 to 6, you will hear 580 Sports Talk. And it will be 580 Sports Talk the way you remember it, the way you know it, the way you listen to it, and hopefully the way you enjoy it today. It'll be a little faster paced, but we'll have the same number of segments. We'll have 12 segments every day. We've been doing 3 segments per hour in this 4-hour edition. We'll do 4 segments per hour in a 3-hour edition. We're going to talk about the same stuff. We're going to have the same guests. We're going to have the same segments. We're going to have What Is Wrong With You at the same time. We're going to have Pistol and Matt Verderame and Tim Fitzgerald and all of our great guests, Matt Derrick, on at the same time. It's going to be the same show. It's just going to be an hour shorter. We think it's going to be a great addition to 580's programming lineup to add Agri-Talk. We think it's going to be a much better lead-in for us here on Sports Talk to have the ag audience come in with us to talk sports for the next 3 hours. We think it's going to bring a new audience to us, which we're very excited about. And frankly, it is going to be a little bit easier on all of us. It's going to give all of us a chance to contribute in the ways that we're being asked to contribute now to the station as a whole, to the company as a whole, and also bring you a really good sports talk show. So starting Monday will be a 3-hour sports talk show. We've got proof of concept here because, Brendan, you and I did 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk together for a little over a year from 3 to 6.
Yep.
We know how to make it work as a 3-hour show. And that's what we're going to continue to do. You're still going to be able to watch it on YouTube. You're still going to be able to watch it on Facebook. Nothing changes but the start time. Everything else about 580 Sports Talk remains exactly the same. And we hope that means also what remains the same is you folks tuning in. We appreciate and love each and every one of you. We think these changes, again, are for the better as we try to evolve as a station, as a sports department. And we look forward to continuing to be here with you. None of us are going anywhere, okay? You're not getting rid of us. We're just going to be on an hour less so we can make way for a program that we think is going to be a really beneficial addition for our ag audience at the 2:00 hour.
And I know a lot of folks have reached out on the Top City Metal Supply text line or in our YouTube live chat right now and have said, worried, is everyone going to be around? You're going to get 3 hours of Dan. You're going to get 3 hours of me. Percentage-wise, you're going to hear more Spencer. In terms of percentage of the show he is here for, we're going to have more Spencer.
Spencer will continue to be the norm.
Yes.
If this is Cheers, I'm Ted Dancing. You're Woody Harrelson.
That's fine.
And Spencer is Norm.
Yeah.
Spencer is Norm. When he comes in, we go, Spencer!
Yeah.
And we have fun with that.
But no, it's the same program. It's all the same stuff. Like Dan mentioned, we're going to all the same guests that we always have. The guys who rotate, CJ Moore and Paul Meyerberg are going to rotate during Big 12 season. We'll talk to the Matts. We'll talk to Swain. We'll talk to Fitz. None of that is changing. None of the content, none of the coverage, none of the games we do, nothing else. It's just, I have taken pride, and I know, Dan, you have as well, in the entire time I've been here. I'm not going to BS you guys about, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm trying not to be, like, full Dan Patrick show and, like, all we care about is what happens in this office. But you guys, y'all are loyal. Y'all listen every day. And, businesses change, roles change. Y'all give me a hard time because I got to wear shirts with buttons to work now, and that sucks, but it's for a reason. And, Dan's taking on some more administrative stuff. Spencer's doing ag reports all throughout the day. I'm going out talking to local businesses, talking to some of you folks out there. So It'll be different, but it won't be bad. It'll be great. It'll be the same program that has been award-winning for decades and decades.
It might be good for us to trim the fat to get into things a little bit quicker, but we're going to continue to talk about all of the things that you enjoy hearing about. We're going to keep talking Royals and Chiefs and KU and K-State in Washburn and our local high schools. None of the content of this show is going to change, and none of the people who are on it are going to change. We're just going to be an hour shorter, and I think it serves, again, it's going to be great for our ag audience who we love and appreciate, and we're going to segue right into 3 hours of sports talk. The other thing, too, you remember back when we started the 4-hour edition of this show?
Yes, it was my second week on the job.
Yes. 2017, you had just started. You were fresh-faced.
Yes.
Ruddy-cheeked, fresh out of college, Brendan Dworzinski. I was
clean-shaven.
Much more clean-shaven. Yes, I'm fresh-faced, ruddy-cheeked Dan Lucero, also extremely single at the time. Jake wasn't even married. Like, Jake, he hadn't been married yet. He was still just engaged to be married. We were all in very different places in our lives. We started doing this show for 4 hours, and we're all in very different places now. I'm married, I'm my first child, and you're married, just bought a house out here, and Spencer's got his girlfriend out here too. Even though he's the youngest of us, he's still got a long-term relationship as well. So it's different circumstances personally for us at this stage, and doing 3 hours of preparation for 3 hours of sports talk is going to be good for our work lives. It's going to be good for our personal lives, and it's going to be good for the show. And we're seeing your comments on the YouTube live chat. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the love. No, it's reciprocated 100% of the way down the line. We really do appreciate you guys so much, and we're glad that you'll be sticking with us. Again, next Monday is when the move happens. We'll be on from 3 to 6 moving forward after that.
We do have a text from the 316 asking if we're all characters from Cheers. Does that make Trenton Carla?
Mark in the YouTube comments wondered if Trenton is Cliff.
Ooh. No, Trenton's too smart to be Cliff.
I've never seen Cheers, so
you're not missing a lot.
So if for you people that are making the references, I don't understand if that's a good or a bad thing. But while we're talking, I'm leaving next week. I know it's probably not as endearing to the text line or the YouTube that they don't
see. We were going to save that. We wouldn't want to hit everybody with all of the melancholy in one time. But yes, we have to give Trenton back. He is just our summer intern.
No, I'm just kidding. They're firing me.
We have to give him back. We don't want to. Honest to God, if I didn't have to give you back to your education and getting a degree and all of those things, I would not give you back.
No,
they're going to have to drag you out of here away from us. But yes, Trenton's last week with us is next week, which will be our first week of the 3-hour program. So again, we appreciate the kind words on the YouTube live chat, on the text line 785-272-9429, the Top Seed Mail Supply text line. This is good. This is good for all of us, and we just really the outpouring in the YouTube comments is kind of overwhelming. We do appreciate it.
We appreciate it more than I'll ever be able to put into words. I do want to remind everyone, though, because we've brought this up throughout the summer. Trenton is not completely leaving our airwaves. In fact, you will hear Trenton throughout the Washburn football season, because Trenton is also our sideline reporter for Washburn football broadcasts on Country 106.9. So you will hear plenty of Trenton Cratchner throughout your fall months, thankfully. It'll just be a little different than right now. You ain't got to get a degree and
you got to go. Yeah, maybe enter the working world someday. Trent, don't let me be in a position to hire you whenever you've got that diploma. I'll do it so fast. I swear to God. We have loved having you around. I know the listeners have too, and so we're gonna miss you. You put it. Yeah, I guess that's you putting in your 2 weeks on the air, letting everybody know.
Surprise.
Yeah. But so. That's what's going on. Online Pigskin and Hoops magazine this year, with the release beginning on August 19th. 3-hour 580 sports talk, 3 to 6 every day. Still on the YouTube. We're still on Facebook. We're still podcasting, all that good stuff. You can still do the archive stuff on the YouTube channel. Some of you, maybe 2 is the only hour you catch, and you're not able to catch the rest of the show. You can still catch the archive on the YouTube or on our or on our podcast page, and that's starting next Monday.
All right, a couple things to address here real quick from YouTube. Number one, from Vance, that leaves me less time to be a smartass. That's true for you guys too. You got to adjust the pace here. You got to get the takes in a 3-hour period instead of 4. So that's going to condense the takes a little bit. Got to get those off in a little more rapid fire. But I'm confident in all of you. You're going to be able to do that. Secondly, here from Joe, is AgriTalk going to have YouTube commentary because he's got some hot takes? I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a little inside baseball for the radio station here. The funniest text message that has ever come in on the Top City Metal Supply text line, I'm not going to read it because it was very mean to someone who worked here, but it actually came in during ag programming. So I will just say that. It might not be read live during the agriculture programming, but the single funniest text we ever got was during ag programming. So
no, that's true.
The text line is actually open all day. Like,
Yes.
I don't know if
you can text the show at like 2 a.m. You're faded off of like 7 PBRs on a Friday night.
I don't think we've ever shared that before. Like the text line runs. It is constantly open. It's a phone line.
Yeah, we don't turn it off.
So
we're not Southwestern Bell, like we don't flip a switch.
That would actually be a banger segment. Like Monday after a Chiefs game. Like, all right, what time were the Chiefs losing?
Yes.
Check the text line and see what everybody was saying. That we might have to put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
But yes, you are welcome to text us, or the YouTube stream is up just during the show. But the Top City Metal Supply text line is open all day.
All right, that went longer than I anticipated, to be completely honest with you. We were going to talk some Chiefs this hour, but we want to talk to Matt Verderame as well this hour. So we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back. We're going to do our good, bad, ugly from the sports weekend that was, and then we're going to talk to Matt Verderame. We'll hear from Chamarri Connor a little bit later on in the program. We'll still hear from him and talk a little bit more Chiefs. But for right now, we will step aside for a quick timeout from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Come back with the good, the bad, the ugly on 580 Sports Talk. The gang's all here for the good, the bad, the ugly of the weekend as Spencer Dupuis joins myself, Dan, and Brendan across the way. And Trenton across the glass.
I'm playing the percentages.
Let's go good, bad, ugly. Brendan, you're good from the weekend.
My good women's volleyball yesterday. Woo, they whooped the French 3-0 on the beach as well. Oh my gosh. Kelly Chang and Sarah Hughes. Absolutely awesome matchup against the Italians. There's a lot of gold medal potential for women's volleyball this year. And the men are in action in set 3 right now against Brazil on the indoor.
Spencer, what was your good?
My good is that I'm going to get to see Jaden Daniels in action on my TV this weekend because he's going to play in the first preseason game. Also saw the movie Twisters on Friday. Great movie.
That was cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right. My good from the weekend, Kristen Faulkner from Homer, Alaska. 7 years ago, takes up biking as a hobby. Yesterday won the gold medal in the women's road race at the Olympics. We've been doing it for 7 years. She pulled away at the end. It was an incredible race, incredible finish. Just goes to show you, folks, 7 years is all it takes to get from hobby to Olympic level great at something. Let that be a lesson.
Who's the guy who said you need to do something 10,000 times?
10,000 hours?
10,000 hours.
Malcolm Gladwell?
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah,
Eat your heart out, Malcolm Gladwell.
Bad from the weekend.
My bad. Just sort of permanently, it's the Chicago White Sox. They have 27 wins this year. They have 28 blown saves.
That's tough.
They have 17 saves in 45 tries.
That's tough.
Yeah.
They
more blown
reek.
saves than wins in August.
They reek.
Did you see the post-game show when they were talking about that?
Oh, man.
With
White
Ozzie
Sox
Guillen?
post-game must-watch television.
It really
Ozzie
is.
Guillen hates Pedro Grifal. Hates him.
Spencer, what was your bad from the weekend?
My bad for the weekend was that I'll be talking about this new plan that I'm on here for dieting and stuff like that here in a month or two. But I started it and I didn't know how much food I needed. I have to, count out the food. I didn't have enough for my dinner last night because I got meal prep for the week.
Oh, no.
My bad from the weekend was that it rained during the women's 100, and I think it kind of cheapened the race a little bit. Sha'Carri Richardson ended up winning silver. But shout out to the woman from St. Lucia. First ever Olympic medal for that country was gold. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Even the bad leads to some good in the Olympics. Quick, ugly, anybody?
Yes, the broadcast call on NBC from Lee Diffie of the men's 100. You cannot botch it that badly. You cannot call it for the wrong guy if it's that close.
It was obvious that Noah Lyles had won for like 10 seconds before Lee Diffie caught on.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad. That's
also the Dow Jones.
Oh, yeah, tough day. Tough day for the old Dow, as it turns out. No, we are not turning into 580 financial talk. This
that is not one of our changes.
We are making some changes. That is not one of them. We'll take a break. Matt Verderame joins us next to talk all things NFL here on 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also of the Kansas City Sports Network and That Football Show, and of his own Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, which you can find by checking out his Twitter, @Matt Verderame. He is a man of many talents, and he is our NFL insider, and he joins us on this Monday afternoon. Matt, it's a game week, but a much more real game week than that nonsense Hall of Fame game. There is a Chiefs game on Saturday. We have made it to a game week. It is preseason week 1, obviously, so we pump the brakes on getting too excited. But what is one thing you are most looking forward to about the opening preseason game for the Chiefs?
I think it's got to be watching Kingsley Suamataia. I mean, that to me, look, not to put too much on this game and not to put too much pressure on the kid, but let's be real. I mean, that he is the guy you're watching, right? Like, Xavier Worthy can come along slowly, and they're fine. Jaden Hicks can come along slowly, and they're fine. FAU can play a quarter to 30% of the snaps and be rotational, and fine. They need Suamataia to come in and play well. They need him to at least be average. They don't need him to be great. They don't need him to be Willie Roaf. They need him to be good enough that they're not making a call to Donovan Smith on Monday. And if that happens and they get out of there without any meaningful injuries, I think that's a win for the Chiefs, whether or not they walk out of there 1-0 or 0-1.
It sure seems like from the tape that's out there from Chiefs practice, like Suamataia is starting to hold up even better in some one-on-one drills than he was early on. Was that kind of always the idea around Suamataia that, yeah, he might have been raw, but he had the chance to be a really fast learner given his athletic traits?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're betting on their coaching staff and their culture. They're betting on the fact that they can get him in there with Andy Heck and Andy Reid, who's an old offensive line coach, and that they're going to take that ball of clay, if you will, and a very athletic ball of clay, and say, hey, look, we can teach him technique, and we can teach him how to play in the structure of our offense, and we can do all those things. But we need the physicality and the traits to come along with it. We can't teach that type of stuff. So, look, I was there on Thursday. He did well. He performed well. He wasn't unbelievable, but he was good. He was solid. He was more than enough. I thought he played very well in team drills. I think he got beat, like legitimately beat once. Individual drills, he played well. There was a play where they ran a sweep to the left, and you could see where he shines, and it's in space. I mean, he crushed Drew Tranquil and just completely vacated the left side. The big thing for me is I know in space he can move. That's no problem. When they're in pass pro and he's one-on-one, backside with a Josh Allen, can he hold up over and over and over? That's the question the Chiefs need to answer.
Speaking of Chiefs training camp, you mentioned you had a chance to be there and take it in, and you've got a piece up at SI.com on their NFL page about having been at Chiefs training camp. It's about Chamarri Conner. And you say that or the headline anyway says he could be the key to Kansas City's secondary this year. What did you see from Conner that you liked? What did the Chiefs like best about what Conner can bring to the table in his second full year?
You know, I think the answer is really the same for both of those things. It's the versatility. I mean, he can play safety and he can play nickel corner. And that's something in talking to Chamarri after the practice, he said, look, I've been doing that since high school. He really enjoys that aspect of his game and that aspect of what the Chiefs ask him to do. And that's going to be meaningful this year because with Snead gone, if Conner can't play in the nickel role, McDuffie has to be the guy who does it. They have nobody else capable of doing it. And now all of a sudden you're locked into McDuffie always being on the inside, and then you have Watson and Kelvin Joseph and Williams on the perimeter, and it really limits you in the way you can match up. If Conner can play good, solid snaps one-on-one in the slot, well, you can always put McDuffie inside, but now you can put McDuffie outside as well, and it gives the Chiefs that ability to mix and match and say, okay, this week we're going to see so-and-so, and he's their best guy, and he's outside the numbers. We're going to travel McDuffie. Or you know what? Hey, their best guy's in the slot this week. We're just going to leave McDuffie inside, and Conner can play some snaps at safety, and we'll mix him in some zone looks. I think he's an enormous part of this. If you said to me, who are the 5 most important Chiefs on the team this year, he would be in the conversation because of what he allows them to do. And he's also a guy, when he was in college, he was a great blitzer. He actually led his team in sacks as a sophomore at 5.5. So that's something that the Chiefs are going to try to get out of Connor, is using him in a way that they used Snead for a long time.
We're joined by Matt Verderame, who covers the NFL for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. He's also the host of the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon and That Football Show at KC Sports Network. Find him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline every Monday here at this time. You just mentioned it, Matt. Maybe one of the 5 most important Chiefs this year, going into this year. What do you think that 5-man list would be?
Well, look, Mahomes is,
sure,
he's pretty critical.
That's a given, yeah.
Good. But, I think, it would be him. It would be Soma Taia. You're protecting Mahomes' blind side. I think it would be Chris Jones. The defense revolves around him. It goes with him. And then, honestly, it might be McDuffie and it might be Connor. Because if those 5 guys play well, now obviously, look, those 5 guys can't play when everybody else goes to complete trash. It's not going to work out. But if you get a normal Kelsey year, if you get, reasonable what you expect out of Hollywood Brown and Creed Humphrey, those are the guys, McDuffie, he was a first-team All-Pro last year, but they're asking him to play a different role this year. He's not just going to be in the slot. He's going to be moved around. They need him to be that All-Pro corner everywhere. And so I think there are some really, really, really important things that he's going to have to do that maybe he didn't have to do last year. They're going to ask Chamarri Connor to play multiple roles and be a very important player in them. When I was there on Thursday, watching them, I got to be honest, I kind of walked away from it thinking, this is the best team I think that they've had since Mahomes has been here. Just top to bottom, balance on both sides of the ball. Last year I was at their camp, and you wondered even then, okay, they've got a lot of guys who are interesting at receiver, but who's the guy? Who's the guy on 3rd and 8 if they double Kelsey who's going to make a play? And so the answer turns out to be nobody. Nobody's going to make a play. This team, I thought Worthy the day I was there was incredible. He's the 4th option on that team when they throw the ball. So I just look at the Chiefs and say, if they don't get hurt and a couple of these guys step into the roles that they need to step into, they're going to be a bear to deal with, even maybe more than normal.
It was reported by much of the NFL media earlier today. Harrison Butker, new contract extension. He's the new highest paid kicker in the NFL. The numbers Ian Rappaport of NFL Network had: 4 years, $25.6 million overall, 17.8 guaranteed. Harrison Butker right now has an argument for being the best kicker in the NFL. He could have been first-team All-Pro last year, even with how good Brandon Aubrey was. But, Matt, would you be comfortable paying a kicker that much, frankly, guaranteeing a kicker that much?
Yes. I would have been more uncomfortable from a Chiefs fan's perspective if they didn't do it. How much value is there, considering all the big games they play in, that when that guy steps on the field, you just assume it's good? I can't remember the last time he stepped on the field and I thought to myself, I don't know if he's going to make this kick. Even in the Super Bowl, a 58-yarder, and never do you think he doesn't have the leg for this, or, this might be too big of a moment for him. I think he's worth his weight in gold. And to me, we always get into the whole, he's the highest paid this. He's getting paid $6 million. The NFL, who cares? They're paying him. They're paying him basically Drew Tranquil's contract. That's fine. I don't have any beef with that. So look, I get it. Like most teams, you're not going to pay your kicker $6 million. I just think with all the big kicks, he is a very odd case. He has never made a Pro Bowl. He has never been an All-Pro, and I think he's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's kind of outrageous. He's never even gotten the fan vote for the Pro Bowl. Also, that says more to me, Matt, about how underpaid Drew Tranquil is, but we can address that next time. I did want to ask, with more preseason action coming up this weekend, the Hall of Fame game in the books, what was your initial reaction to the use of the dynamic kickoff?
It was kind of muted, right? On Thursday night, you didn't see anything that you went, oh wow, now I see why. I do want to see a whole week's worth of action. I think it's going to be more interesting. I do wonder if you're still going to get teams to say, hey, look, put it through the end zone and give them the ball at the 30-yard line. I do wonder if, as the year plays out, if the actual regular season plays out, if there's a lot of explosive plays, if teams just get more conservative and say, you know what, it's not worth the risk. 5 yards from what it used to be. Who cares? Bomb it through the end zone. I will say, going around camps, I've been to 3 so far. I got 4 more to go. I've seen a lot of kickers practice like hard squibs, like kicking the ball and trying to get it through that setup zone, if you will, because for those who are unaware, once the ball gets past the 20-yard line, whether it is on the ground or it is touched, that's when the coverage team can release. And so I've seen a lot of teams trying to squib the ball and hit it at about the 18, 17-yard line, and then they can go and cover, and that returner's got to go get the ball and pick it up. That might be one way to try and cover it. I'll be curious. I will be watching every game that I watch this weekend. How do teams try to return the kicks, and how do teams try to cover those kicks, and what are the different strategies?
We're joined by Matt Verderame here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt Verderame of SISI.com. And something that happened over the weekend was a familiar face here to the Kansas City Chiefs, no longer with the team, with the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, he restructured his contract. He's going to get $90 million over the next 3 years. What exactly, in like layman's terms, does this contract do to help the Dolphins?
Yeah, so he was going to have some void money at the end of his contract, and essentially what they did was they just reworked it so he actually has to go a real contract throughout the term of the deal. The Dolphins, between that and paying Tua, look, they've locked themselves in, right? They already gave Ramsey a ton of money when he came over a couple of years ago. Waddle, you would assume, is going to get paid. But, this is, I guess the way I would term it is, this is kind of who they are now. Like, their additions are going to come in the draft. They are done making, there's no more Bradley Chubbs coming in and getting huge money. There's no more Jalen Ramsey's coming in and getting huge money. Like, at this point, this is who they are, plus draft picks. And, look, if you're the Dolphins, you have to pay Tyreek Hill. He is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Your offense does not work without him. You just paid a quarterback $53 million, who I would argue desperately needs Tyreek Hill on that team. So Hill had all the leverage in the world. It gives them some cost certainty. The reality is, though, now going forward, like they're pretty tight to the cap. They've got a lot of big contracts. They're going to lose some guys. We saw that this offseason already. They lost Van Ginkel. They lost Christian Phillips. They lost Robert Hunt. So it's been aggressive last couple of years by Chris Greer, the GM there. He's added a lot of talent, but now they're pretty strapped. And if they're gonna continue to build this roster, it's going to be the way the Chiefs have done the last few years, which is really nail the draft.
Man, is it just another feather in Patrick Mahomes' cap that he's won the last 2 Super Bowls without having the aforementioned Tyreek Hill, the best player in the National Football League, in case you haven't heard, on his roster? Does that make Patrick Mahomes is that even just a more addition, more cherries on top of his resume at this point?
Yeah, by the way, that list, the second I saw that Mahomes was number 4 on that list, I just immediately started preparing myself to cover the Chiefs in New Orleans in February. That is egregious. I'm sorry. I know the players vote on it. I get it. That's one of those things. If you're NFL Network, you just call the players back up. Like, you guys sure about that? You want to vote again? Wow. Look, yeah, I think Mahomes. The argument's always been, right, like from any detractors, and granted, at this point, it's not many of them, but like the argument's always been he's got all this talent around and he's got Andy, but they lost Tyreek Hill 2 years ago. And there was a thought, and look, I'll put my hand up, I was part of it, that said, look, without Tyreek Hill, that team just is not the same team, and they are going to have to win differently. And to some extent, that's been true, especially last year, it was certainly true. But in 2023, threw for 5,200 yards and was the MVP of the league. And last year, look, they clearly won because of their defense. And then Mahomes made a handful of plays here and there when he needed to. But the train hasn't stopped at all. I mean, they went 14-3 and won the Super Bowl with Mahomes on one leg. And then last year, the defense went out there and basically just threw up a brick wall for 5 straight months. And they won a Super Bowl. So Yes, I think the argument that, well, Mahomes is just carried by his weapons, like that went out the window now with their last 2 Super Bowls coming sans Tyreek Hill.
I really just feel like the players looked at it and said, well, we'll just say that the fast guy is the best player. Like, it's very schoolyard of the NFL players to fill out their list and just say, well, the fastest guy is the hardest to tackle. Well, yeah, let's just put him at number 1.
You know what? I got to be fair. Like, Tyreek Hill had an amazing year last year. And to be like, look, to be completely transparent about, like, Tyreek Hill, you could really make a real argument that, like, outside of Jerry Rice, nobody's had a better start to their career ever at receiver than Tyreek Hill. I mean, maybe you don't say Randy Moss, that's fine. But to put Lamar Jackson ahead of Mahomes, and I know there are people who are just like, well, he won MVP. That's great. And he deserved to. If I had to vote for the MVP, I would have voted for him. I would have given it to him. Like, I think he deserved to win the MVP last year. If the Chiefs called the Ravens right now and said, guys, we'll trade you Mahomes for Lamar Jackson straight up, how fast does Eric DeCosta scream deal into the phone?
Already done. Like, yeah, it's done.
He doesn't let Brett Veach finish the sentence.
They're not even through the sentence, right? Like, whereas if the Ravens called up the Chiefs and said, we'll give you Lamar for Mahomes, like, let's say Veach is not allowed to hang up the phone. How many first-round picks do the Ravens have to attach to that for Veach to seriously consider it?
Their next 5?
I was going to say 4, like minimum. Like, it's not like it would be like, oh, Lamar and the first or something, which is a huge gap, by the way. Like, the Chiefs wouldn't even consider that. They'd be like, get lost. There's no way in hell we're doing that, right? Like, so, I mean, that's where, to me, and then, like, we saw the playoff game where the big criticism of it, and I think, again, correctly, was, hey, look, you know what? The Ravens, they put it on Lamar. They didn't run the ball. When's the last time the Chiefs lost a game? And somebody says, you know what the problem was? They put it on Mahomes too much in that game. I mean, that's a ridiculous argument. I know he's great. He won the MVP. He deserved it. There's no argument he's a better player than Patrick Mahomes.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated. Check out his work at SI.com, also on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network, and the Matt Verderame Show on his own Patreon, which you can check out on his Twitter account, at Matt Verderame. He joined us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Monday during the year. Matt, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We are overdue for a break. Come on back with a 4 o'clock hour with us in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this Monday edition. The gang is all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dupuis. Christ. Turn up the music. Turn up the music. Gotta try that again. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this Monday. And the gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis, and producer-engineer Trenton Kraxner.
There we go.
I'm not used to you being here at the top of the 4 o'clock hour, Spencer. You throwing off the... You threw me off.
I don't know. Sometimes it's the very end of the 3 o'clock. Sometimes
Throwing me off
wrong with you
is Brendan Dworzinski getting mad hype over some men's volleyball.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
Did we win?
Hell yeah, we won.
All right.
Brazil, get the hell out of my face.
Wednesday, 9 a.m.
How do you say adios in Portuguese? Probably something close to adios, right?
You know, it's funny you say that. We were Abby and I were watching gymnastics the other night, and Rebecca Andrade, who's the greatest Brazilian gymnast ever, apparently. That's what they said on the broadcast. They were doing a feature on her and how she grew up in a poor neighborhood. She used to walk 2 hours to get to practice and then stopped going because they had no money. But the coaches from her gym came to her mom and were like, no, she's like a prodigy. You have to keep sending her. And I told my wife, I said, like in public, if I'm out in a big city or on vacation or something, if I hear someone speaking French or Spanish or German or Russian, like I can usually tell, like, oh, that's Russian, that's German. Like, I don't know what they're saying, but you can tell. I have no idea what Portuguese sounds like. I don't know a single word. I don't know the sound, the dial, any of it.
It's like, very close to Spanish. In fact, Trent, give me my computer real quick. This is goodbye in Portuguese.
Adeus.
Adios, Brazil. Get out of here. Go home.
Poland.
What a win.
Poland, 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. Where are you going to be at for the semifinals?
Where will your loyalties lie for the semifinals?
America.
9 a.m. Central for those, just to clarify.
What everyone on freaking Twitter was telling me last week, you should honor your great-grandparents. No, absolutely not. Are they here? Are they playing for Team Poland? No, this is an American, pro-America show. I'm speaking for all of you because I'm fired up.
All right, then.
3-1 victory for Team USA men's
Damn
volleyball.
right it was.
We'll
on a brutal day. Trenton and I were talking about this during the top of the hour. Reverse sweeps all over the place. Bunch of 2-0 leads that went for naught. They were going full 2016 Guardians, 2016 Warriors, melting down. Not Team USA, though. What a win. It's all over now, so this is not like subject to the Olympic Committee like throwing me in prison.
Well, that's a relief.
You can't say, they are so strict about their copyrights. We had someone the other day, and I can't remember who it was in our YouTube comments who said, like, hey, instead of the Olympic roundup, can you play the theme song? And the answer is no, because the IOC will show up at our door and throw us in jail.
Yeah.
Or just sue our asses off.
Yeah, they'll be waiting for us as soon as we like leave the building.
We can't even go dun 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 dun. I didn't even do that right. But.
No,
that sounded like Pomp and Circumstance.
The funeral dirge is what it sounded like.
Or like a wet though.
Are we graduating?
Mark.
Are we graduating? Bum 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 bum.
I thought he was doing the.
Dun.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I can't do any more notes. They'll come for me. They'll come for my family. We will be destitute when the IOC is done with us.
Thankfully, the person who wrote the Chariots of Fire theme seems to be okay with us using it.
Thank you, Vangelis.
Using it, improving it, perhaps. Who's to say I haven't improved it with my lyrics for the Olympic Roundup?
Mark on YouTube. BD has the passion. Where's Dan's and Spencer's? Great question. I'm the only one fired up here. Trenton as well. With some American pride, because we sent our doughboys over there to Paris.
I've been complaining about all day about how my TV lied to me about this is not a recordable thing today. I've been complaining off air all day that I was ruined.
Here, I have an idea. Go home. Watch when you go home, watch Olympic Prime Time, and it'll be on there.
I hope it is.
Go home.
So rude.
Goodness.
Wow.
I meant like when you go home, it'll be on Olympic Prime Time.
I got an idea. Let's get the hell out of here.
Eviscerating this man.
All right. Thanks for listening. 580 WIBW FM 104.9 online at 580WIBW.com. And thank you for watching Brendan get hype over volleyball on the live video stream. It is on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. It is also on Facebook at WIBW News. Great way to interact with the program live. If you're in the YouTube live chat, always appreciate those who interact live. You can also text the program. Top City Metal Supply text line is 785-272-9429. Coming up in this hour, our first What Is Wrong With You stories of the week, and we will get to that Olympic roundup. But first, college football starts 3 Saturdays from today. We have football in 3 Saturdays. And I don't mean like, I know NFL's a bigger deal and preseason NFL has already started. And we've got a bunch of preseason games this weekend, including the Chiefs and the Jaguars on Saturday. And that's wonderful. We got real college football games in 3 Saturdays.
Yeah,
it is,
week 0, the 24th.
It is
crazy.
Bearing down on us. Is that Colorado and North Dakota State?
No, that's a true week 1 game.
That's a true week 1?
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, we've got the week 1 games starting in 4 Thursdays from now. KU plays, Washburn plays as well. Colorado North Dakota State is Thursday.
Yes,
that might be
yes.
what you were thinking of.
There are 4 games 3 Saturdays from today.
Yeah, kind of a limited week. Last year we had like 11.
More like week 0. Come on, play some games.
What are you going to be doing at midnight watching Delaware State at Hawaii? That's where the real sickos get off.
I will be there.
Football.
What channel is this even going to be on?
Get on the T1 Sports app, big dog.
Sports app.
I have an idea. Go home.
You can't even.
No, you used to back on me. You really used to back on me.
Uno reverse.
So Hawaii games that aren't on TV, there's an app. All it shows is like JUCO and high school sports. And for some reason, the University of Hawaii. And you can't, they might have a Roku app. I have it on our Apple TV.
No, the Roku app doesn't work. The Roku app, you cannot watch the Hawaii games on the Roku app.
So yeah,
I have tried.
You have to watch on a tablet or on like an Apple TV to get it to work.
I only asked this because on
It is free,
ESPN
though.
it tells me what the 3 other games that are broadcast on, and then it says TV, and it has a blank for that game. So mines were.
No, the real G's will be sitting in bed next to their wives with their babies asleep at the foot of the bed in the bassinet, watching on T1 Sports on my tablet or my phone.
I will
admit it. I'd never heard of T1 Sports until just now.
See, we're helping the people. We're educating the people.
KU great Stephen McBride still at Hawaii. So if you need a player to root for, there you go.
He's their best player on College Football 25, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, legit player.
Yeah. The other week 0 games, in case anyone is curious, there's a conference game. Florida State, Georgia Tech are playing in Ireland.
All right.
There's an ACC game.
If they were playing that game at Bobby Dodd, I would pick Georgia Tech to win.
Also, Montana State at New Mexico and SMU at Nevada.
Holy cow. Montana State is favored by 8?
Yeah, New Mexico reeks.
I mean, I know they're bad, but 8? For an FCS team on the road? I mean, Montana State's good. Like, that's a really bad FBS team versus a really good FCS team. They also run the wackiest stuff. Like, they run legit 2 quarterback system stuff. It's super weird. I was watching some of it to do a freelance thing I was doing about KU's, Jason Bean, Jalen Daniels situation before Daniels got hurt last year. And it's fascinating. They're a really good, really fun team. 8? That's a huge spread for an FCS team.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So those are the week 0 games. But anyway, I say all that to say this. We have our first top 25 poll of the season. Not no video game talent ranking here with respect to the folks who make College Football 25, who gave us some nice content there for about a week. No.
Thank you, EA.
The coaches poll was released earlier today. And I saw, I got like the PR emails from KU and K-State, and it said the USLBM coaches poll. And I'm like, well, I haven't picked up a USA Today in a long time. I didn't know it changed its name to the USLBM. because it's been USA Today Coaches Poll, like as long as I can remember. The USA Today and the AFCA, American Football Coaches Association, put out the Coaches Poll. But now it has a title sponsor. Do you know what USLBM is?
United States. Damn it. No, I wish I had something prepared. No,
it is the largest privately owned full-line distributor of specialty building materials in the United States. So I'm guessing the L stands for something. The BM stands for building materials.
Labor building materials? Lumber building materials?
Lots of building materials.
Lots of?
Yes, Lotsa. Lotsa. Lots of building materials. Anyway, the USLBM Coaches Poll was released earlier today. Both Kansas and Kansas State are ranked. No surprise there. K-State checking in at number 17 in the poll. Kansas is number 24. First time KU's been ranked in the preseason by any of the major polls since 2008.
So back. Never been more back.
Here's how the rest of the poll shakes out. We'll go 5 teams at a time. We'll do it in chunks. We'll start at the top with Georgia at number 1. 46 of the first place votes. It looks like there were 54 votes cast. 46 of the 54 first place votes, Georgia number 1. Ohio State, 7 first place votes, number 2. Oregon, number 3. Texas with a first place vote, number 4. Alabama, number 5. Instant reactions to the top 5 in the first coaches poll.
Is Beck the dude? And I don't mean like, is he the starting quarterback? Duh. Like, is he going to be that good? Is he already that good? Because I think that's a big, that's my big question for Georgia. I might put a.
Here's the thing about Georgia. They won the previous 2 national championships before last year. And last season, they didn't make the playoff because they lost in the SEC championship game to Alabama.
Yeah.
But if they had made the playoff, they would have been favored, I think, over any of the 4 teams that made the playoff, including the Alabama team that had beaten them by 3 in Atlanta in the SEC title game.
Man, them against Michigan would have brought the power back to college football. Let me tell you that right now. This is gonna sound like heresy. I might put Texas number 1.
Really?
I might go Texas, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State.
Well,
that would be
surprising.
And then Bama 5.
Sell me on Texas number 1.
Texas is bringing a lot back. They lose Xavier Worthy. You're right. They may have added a better player in Isaiah Bond from Alabama, who I like that wide receiver room. In fact, all 3 of their starting receivers are going to be transfers this year. Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, and Silas Bolden. Wow. Bond, Golden, and Bolden. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they've got a bunch of freshmen who are going to mix into the rotation there too. I like CJ Baxter a lot. They have an unbelievable rotation of running backs over the last couple of years. From Bijan to Jonathan Brooks to CJ Baxter, who is just a sophomore. I have questions about Ewers. I do, but I do think he has really hit a groove with that offense under Steve Sarkisian. Defensively is where I have more questions because they always have talent, always, but they've got to replace a lot of beef inside. Those 2 dudes, Murphy and Sweat alone, beat K-State last year. Those 2 won them a game. If you want to extrapolate that and say that got them into the college football playoff, fair enough. So the defense is where I have questions. The talent, I'm not worried about. The actual execution, that's my big question. Offensively, though, I think they're going to put up some big numbers. I think they're going to score a ton. I think another year under Sark is going to be really good for Ewers. I could hear an argument for any of the 4. I don't think of those 4. Honestly, top 5. You want to throw Alabama in there? Like, I've got big questions about every one of those quarterbacks. Like, I think Beck is a good player. But, like, people talk about him. Oh, he might be the first overall pick next year. Really? Really? He might be, but I'm not convinced of that right now. You have heard all of my thoughts on Dylan Gabriel, who is at another school at Oregon. I love Dan Lanning. I love that roster. I have a lot of questions about Dylan Gabriel. I'm sorry to tell you this, like, national college football media. Will Howard ain't the dude you think he is. Like, I think Will Howard's a good dude. I think he's a good college quarterback. Probably better than Kyle McCord.
Yes, he's better than Kyle McCord.
But, like, who is pushing this Will Howard first-round pick narrative? Because we watched a lot of Will Howard, and even at his best, I would have been like, yeah, like
day
round.
3.
Yeah, like
maybe late day 2, day 3. Yeah. And yes, this is coming from a very pro Will Howard radio program.
Will has been on this show before and has been very nice with his time with us at various times.
We like Will Howard very much.
I've also watched him play.
Do I think Will Howard is going to win a national championship? And look, that Ohio State roster is loaded for bear. Quinshon Judkins and Trayvon Henderson might be the best running back room in the country. They've got some big time transfers in on the defensive side. JT Tuimoloau is back for another year. He's a game record defensive end. That is an awesome football team. I think they're probably going to get their lick back on Michigan this year and win the Big Ten.
I agree.
But I like the quarterback matchups for Georgia and for Texas and even for Alabama in those big games.
Ohio State versus Oregon. That's like week 2 or something this year.
And here's the other thing.
Going to be a major hater game for me.
And this is the other part. Like Ryan Day as big game coach. 3 straight losses to Michigan. And that's the big game. Really the only one they're playing.
Also, let's not forget.
Whoa. They're playing a game against Marshall.
Okay. All right.
Marshall beat Notre Dame the last time they played a big game.
I will also
never play him again, Spencer. Seriously, never play Notre Dame again.
That's like Rice having a winning record against Alabama. Never schedule that game ever again.
That was a joke, by the way, guys. It's probably going to be horrible.
I've got questions about all these guys. And the other one, Jalen Milroe at Alabama, who was a lot better last year than I thought he would be. I also still have a lot of questions about Jalen Milroe. So I think this is a more open top group than we are used to seeing. I do like DeBoer, though. I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach. And I think he's going to get a lot out of that Alabama team.
I do think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I also know who he ain't.
Nick Saban.
Yeah. I know who he's not. So
imagine if they did win the national title, though.
Year one without him.
That would be outrageous.
Yeah.
So my bold take is I think Georgia's with some growth from Beck, which I think is reasonable to expect in year 2 as a starter. I think they're streets ahead of the rest of the country. I just think they got
streets ahead. Okay.
I think they got way too much talent. And if you gave me Georgia, Ohio State, and Oregon and took the field as far as who's going to win the national championship, I would be okay with that.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon are the 3 best teams, and I think after that, anything is up for debate. But I would vote Georgia number 1. Spencer, had you had a vote, who would your preseason number 1 have been?
It definitely would have been Georgia.
Would have won it last year.
Yeah,
better than Michigan. I will tell you right now, because I had this conversation with my.
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
I think they would have been favored in a theoretical game against Michigan. Do I think they would have won? I think that's fascinating to ponder because I think those were the 2 best teams.
I was having this conversation Christmas Eve with my uncle, who's a Big Ten guy. He went to Illinois, has rooted for the Big Ten for a long time, but my cousin went to Alabama, so he has become an Alabama fan over time and an SEC guy. And I told him I think Michigan's the best team in the country, and I think it's sizable. And he said, no. Like, SEC toughness is different. They're going to meet Alabama, and it's going to go poor. I think Michigan would have beat Georgia last year because I think Michigan was legitimately the best team in the country. Was Georgia better than everyone else, though? Probably.
So that's the top 5. Again, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. Then Ole Miss 6, Notre Dame 7, Michigan, who got a first place vote, is 8th. Followed by Penn State at 9, Florida State at 10.
Does John Bacon vote in this poll?
Not a coach, as it turns out. I don't know who voted Michigan number 1. That might have been just hey, they're the defending champs. Somebody's going to knock them off their perch vote.
Ryan Day. He did the motivational thing.
So that rounds out your top 10. No Big 12 teams in the top 10. 11 through 15, Mizzou, LSU, Utah, Clemson, Tennessee. Utah is your first Big 12 team in at number 13.
That's probably fair.
I did expect Utah would be the highest ranked Big 12 team.
I thought they would have maybe cracked the top 10, like at 9 or 10.
See, of that group, I think I would probably Missouri brings so much back on offense. Like they lost a lot on defense, but offense is old Eli Drinkwitz's thing. Like they're gonna put up some video game numbers on offense this year.
Let me give you here's another I don't know if this is a hot take. It might not be, because this makes me sick to say this out loud. Missouri might have the best player in the country.
Luther Burden
might be the best football player in the country.
He's special. Like he is capital S special.
And Theo Weiss is a good player, especially as a number 2. Mookie Cooper is a good player, especially as a number 3.
Yeah. And, Brady Cook's a lot better than I ever thought he was going to be, too.
Now I will say, Brady Cook, better than I ever thought he would be, better than I ever gave him credit for. I still don't think he is even as good as those quarterbacks we were talking about earlier. If he gets hurt, it is over.
Yeah.
Because do you know who their backup is?
It's not Sam Horn.
It is Drew Pine.
Oh, no.
If Brady Cook gets hurt, it's over. Sell immediately. Sell before the game ends. Sell all your stock. But honestly, as it stands, and again, this makes me sick to say, I think Missouri's underrated here. I think they should be preseason top 10.
I would have had them over. I might have had them as high as 8. I could argue putting them over Michigan. Like Michigan,
I would agree.
What is Alex Orji at quarterback? Like,
I apparently just have like the boldest college football takes I've ever had today. I think they have a 1-year starter. I do not think Alex Orji will be starting more than 12 games at the University of Michigan.
No.
I don't generally trust the running quarterback. Like, I was a Carter Stanley guy when he was at KU, but 2 things. 1, David Beatty was a moron. 2, look at who you were, like, look at the competition. That was not a whole lot of deep competition there. But like I don't trust the guy who's like the specialty running package quarterback. I do not trust that as a long-term option. That's why, and maybe this is confirmation bias, that's why I still don't really trust Jalen Milroe. And he was a full-time starter, but he was kind of a runner.
I just think Milroe's such a good athlete, a good enough passer. Like I said at the end of last year, I felt like Milroe would be my Heisman favorite for 2024. I maybe backed off on that a little bit, but I think he's good enough to like get to Manhattan. I'm still really high on Milroe. One of the reasons I'm still high on Alabama.
All right, real quick, I have one for you here. Round the table real quick because I know we have to get to a break. One team that's too far overrated, one team that's too far underrated, and one that in particular piques your interest from this top 25. Don't pick KU or K-State.
Too far underrated, I will say.
I guess you could pick underrated.
I will
here.
say Mizzou. Too far overrated. Like, are we still doing this with Miami? Miami's 19th. Are we still doing this?
I guess.
Are we still doing this with Miami?
Because they got Cam Ward, who I think is an incredible talent. Mario Cristobal murders quarterbacks. He made Justin Herbert look like a jag. Like, that's who we're talking about here. Cam Ward made such a bad decision, in my opinion, going to Miami. If it works, great for him. He'll be the first. Like I said the other day on the show, Tyler Van Dyne went from, oh my God, sleeper for the first round to like scooping ice cream at the University of Wisconsin's Creamery this year. Like he's a nobody now.
Yeah.
Terrible quarterback school.
So yeah, that's my overrated, underrated there. Really quick, because we didn't run down the rest of the top 25. Oklahoma 16, Kansas State 17, Oklahoma State 18, Miami 19, Texas A&M 20, Arizona 21, NC State 22, USC 23, KU 24, Iowa 25.
I would give you, and Spencer, I want to hear yours too. For underrated, I do think it's Missouri. I hate saying it, but that offense might be ballistic this year. Overrated, I'm going to say Oklahoma at 16. We don't know that Jackson Arnold's any good.
We don't.
Over a longer period of time. I know he's got talent. I don't know that he's any good. I think 16 is high for them, although their defense should be pretty nasty. Team that piques my interest, maybe this is recency bias. You know who went nuts in a bowl game this past year? Miller Moss at USC. I'm kind of interested in a Lincoln Riley offense that doesn't have a cheat code at quarterback. Like, what does that offense look like when you don't have Heisman talent at quarterback and Lincoln Riley actually has to scheme something
Actually has to coach?
Because when he had to do that early at Oklahoma, you know what the offense was? Untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, I love Baker Mayfield. He doesn't have Caleb Williams' talent. He probably doesn't have Kyler Murray's talent. And honestly, in terms of raw athleticism, he might not have Spencer Rattler's talent. And he had one of the best quarterback seasons of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe the best in Big 12 history next to like Graham Harrell 08.
It's a great point.
So that they pique my interest for sure.
Spencer, overrated, underrated?
I think the overrated team is Clemson.
Ooh, I'm here for it.
I just don't think you can compete in today's world if you're not about the transfer portal.
I agree.
Like you can't. It's
a lot of faith in Kay Klubnik.
Yes, it's a lot of faith in freshmen or
Good
guys
luck.
that are going to stay with the program, and I just don't. Yeah, I don't.
No,
Think
I
so.
agree with you. I agree.
Underrated. I think Kansas State's a little underrated on this poll. I think they could be. I think Utah should be in the top 10. like I said at the
Yeah.
beginning. So I think maybe you slot Kansas State in at 13.
Okay. You think they're a top 15 team?
Yeah.
Interesting. The voting numbers, because they have the ranking, but also the voting points. There's a big drop off from 16 to 17, Oklahoma to K-State. Kind of interesting.
By the way, since we teased this, saw this today at VegasInsider.com from Patrick Everson, who noted that Oklahoma State is drawing more bets than any team to win any conference in the country. Casey Degnon at the Vegas Superbook says, quote, there are 2 times more tickets on OSU to win the Big 12 than on any other team in college football to win their conference.
Wow.
So they opened at plus 800 to win the Big 12, so 8-1 odds.
Mm-hmm.
They are now 6.5 to 1, plus 650. They're the solo third choice behind Utah at plus 300 and K-State at plus 315. Again, that's from the Vegas Superbook.
I mean, if you took the numbers from our friends over at Prairie Band, we talked about that a couple months ago now, you could have gotten Oklahoma State at something like plus 1,500 to win the conference. I don't know that they will. I'd probably put them 4th or 5th in the league, but man, they're old. And probably a good way.
They're a veteran team, and they control their own destiny. Like, if they come out of those first 2 games against Utah and K-State at 2-0, it's all systems go to Dallas, and they might have the best running back in the country.
Here's an update for you. They have leapt over at Prairie Band. They're now 3rd shortest odds. Utah, K-State, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way it is at most sports books now. So, yeah, Oklahoma State taking a lot of action from the Sharps and from the public to win the Big 12. And you understand why, because it's not outside of those first 2 games, a terribly demanding schedule. You have Ollie Gordon and that entire offensive line's back too. And all their playmakers on defense are back. Like, maybe we are underrating Oklahoma State just a little bit. I mean, I still have my big concerns about 48-year-old quarterback Alan Bowman, but maybe those are overblown, is all I'm saying. We are overdue for a break here from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. We'll step aside. When we come back, it's our first round of What is Wrong with You for the week on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you, time on 580 Sports Talk? 2 new stories to start a brand new week, our first full week of the month of August. Brendan and Spencer have the stories today. Spencer, I'll let you go first.
I might help with my mics on you.
Typically.
A Florida man was arrested for lassoing and tying up a 9-foot gator, deputies told the media. A Florida senior citizen was arrested after lassoing a 9-foot gator and tying up to a handrail before bolting. Robert Collins, 71, was slapped with felony charges for illegally endangering an alligator, according to an affidavit.
That is the most Florida crime, I think.
Yes.
That we have encountered. Like, we've so many crimes in Florida over the course of doing What Is Wrong With You. And illegally endangering an alligator is maybe the most Florida of the crimes.
He is accused of using nylon rope to lasso the gator around its upper jaw before he tied it to a handrail above a canal in his hometown of Cape Canaveral, according to sheriff's deputies. He bizarrely contacted deputies around 7:30 a.m. to report that he had found the reptile tied up before fleeing the scene. Surveillance footage from nearby building, which was operated by SpaceX, fun fact, according to this New York Post showed him creating a loop with the nylon to trap the gator. He was arrested at his home and booked the same day for illegally killing, possessing, or capturing alligators. After posting the $2,500 bail or bond, he told ClickOrlando.com that he set a clothesline in the canal to protect the turtles there, and that he and others fed. So he did it because of the turtles.
So yeah, he likes to feed turtles.
Yeah.
And was not happy that
you're in your 70s, so sometimes you develop some hobbies.
But apparently doesn't appreciate the circle of life also involves animals, and gators got to eat too.
Man, they end up having to euthanize the gator.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
This guy deserves jail.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
I hate this guy. The picture is hilarious. Like, knowing the aftermath of it, it's much more sad, but the picture of it is hilarious. This rope, a noose, essentially dangling down into this canal with this gator just hanging out in there. So my story is going to take us to the Paris Games, going to the Olympics. I would like to first begin with a tweet from Luis Pisano, who is covering the Paris Olympics for France 24, which is a TV station, as well as Harper's Bazaar, which still exists, and it's not like the 1880s anymore. But he tweeted this out back on July 30th. The Paris Olympics triathlon scheduled for today has been rescheduled to tomorrow due to pollution in the Seine. Only one of the 4 points tested on the Seine was below the World Triathlon's threshold for E. coli contamination. So they had to delay it a couple of days because of contamination.
Right.
That's significant. So Louis then a day later said the triathlon is on for this morning. The Seine is at last swimmable again. Results from the latest water analyses received at 3:20 this morning were deemed compliant. The women will start at 8 a.m. That takes us into our actual What Is Wrong With You, when Belgian triathlete Claire Michel was taken to the hospital with E. coli poisoning from the Seine River.
And she finished 38th.
Yeah.
After being infected with E. coli. Yeah, you get 38th and E. coli. I mean, I at least need a medal.
She deserves a gold medal for that.
She did have to withdraw. Belgium as a whole had to withdraw because she had gotten sick by this. Team Belgium released a statement saying they had to announce, by the way, their triathlon team is the Belgian Hammers. That's awesome.
That's an OG name.
They had to, however, remove themselves from the Paris Games. This decision was taken in consultation with the athletes and the entourage. Claire Michel, one of the athletes in the mixed relay team, had to withdraw due to illness. They did not have a replacement for her, or at least could not use one. So, unsurprisingly, a river that it has not been safe to swim in since the Industrial Revolution is actually not healthy for Olympic athletes to swim in.
I don't know why they didn't, find a different place to do this.
Why did they think you could swim in it in the first place?
I don't ever want to swim in anything that has what is determined to be an acceptable level of E. coli. You know what's an acceptable level?
None
of E. coli for a body of water I lower my body into? 0.
Yeah.
Precisely
0.0.
0 E. coli's in my water,
But
please.
for real though, like why couldn't the Olympic Committee, the IOC, say this is not happening? We're going to put this somewhere else. Like not the same thing, but like in 2028, they're putting stuff in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
Why can't they do
Well,
something like?
are they putting it in the Salt Lake? I don't know.
They're putting something in Salt Lake. Something is not in LA. I know that.
From the 785 on the Top City Metal Supply text line. This is like when Kramer swims in the East River on Seinfeld, Olympics edition. That is a great reference. I love that episode.
So we got two stories today. We got the E. coli river for the Olympics. Sitius, Altius, Fortius, E. coli against the guy who lassoed and killed a gator.
Well, he didn't kill the gator. The gator had to be killed. Because if he killed
His actions led to the death of the alligator.
This is tough for me because I think Spencer has a better story here, but the gator died.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad.
We do rule out human death when it comes to what is wrong with you.
And like this should be allowed to stand because you're right. The act itself did not kill the animal. The animal just had to be put down. I don't know. This one's tough for me.
Yeah, this is a tough one today. Trent, what you have any thoughts? Do you have a favorite here?
I like the gator story better. I think it fits like what is wrong with you better. I mean,
I think you're probably right about
just
that.
imagine your grandpa or your dad going out and saying, I'm going to go lasso a gator because it's messing up my turtles.
Right. When you,
All right.
yeah,
All
convincing
right.
argument.
like that.
Convincing argument. That's going to be our winner. The guy who lassoed a gator and made sure it wouldn't eat his turtles. And now it's not going to ever eat any more turtles again, except maybe in the great river in the sky, the great sewer in the sky.
One final thought about the send. Barbara sends us on YouTube. I do not care if a medal is on the line. I would not jump in that river. Yeah, agree. I would also not ever go in that.
The Gator story is our winner, our first weekly winner. What is wrong with you this week? When we come back, it's an Olympic roundup, complete with the theme music that's sweeping the nation. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. .446 on 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, Trenton. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, is going to join us about 5:25 for yet another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. We'll also talk some Royals baseball as they get set to play the Red Sox. Game 1 of a pivotal 3-game series starts tonight at the K. We've also got our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. We shorten our headlines during training camp so that we can squeeze in more Mitch Holthus. I'm sure nobody objects to that. But that means we have to move around our Olympic roundup. We have to take it out of the headline segment. This is Inside Baseball. We take it out of the headline segment. We put it into the regular show. So now we are going to do the Olympic roundup complete with the theme music that has been called Very Funny by my mother and has also been said about the Olympic roundup theme song. You should do more singing. That's according to my dad. So obviously hugely popular from listeners ranging from my male parent to my female parent. Here it is, folks. Without further ado, it's the Olympic Roundup.
The Olympic Roundup. Olympic Roundup. On 580 Sports Talk, Olympic Roundup.
Beautiful. The reviews are rave reviews. Jason says he loves it in the YouTube live chat. Jeffrey says he can't wait for it. Says it's the highlight of the show. He didn't say that. I said that. More reviews. Can't believe you did that. That's for my wife.
That tracks.
Yeah.
No, that sounds right.
So the weekend, there was a lot of really good stuff going on at the Olympics. The end of the swimming events. The swimming events are done. And suck it, Australia. More golds for us. That's the only thing Australia cares about, winning more golds than the United States. Well, tough Vegemite, buddies. 8 golds for Team USA, 7 for Australia.
Losers. Bums.
Tasted. And that's a bad Olympics for USA swimming, frankly.
Yes, it is.
15 consecutive gold medals in the 4x100 men's medley relay. That streak is over. We lost to China somehow in that event.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of other events where we can only manage silvers and bronzes. And it took until the final day of swimming for a man to win an individual gold. It would have been the first time in 104 years that an American man did not win an individual swimming gold. Thankfully, Bobby Fink came through in the 1,500 meters yesterday,
smashing a world record
to win that gold. Also, our women's 4x100 relay took on the or took home the gold medal. That was the 8th gold. That was the one that tipped the scales in favor of Team USA swimming. But it was not a great Olympics in the pool. Hopefully it's a better Olympics on the track. Noah Lyles got it started in grand style. How about that men's 100-meter final yesterday?
Crazy.
How about that race? Noah Lyles gets to be called the world's fastest man by 5 thousandths of a second, winning the gold in the 100. First American man to win the gold in the 100 since Justin Gatlin in 2004. Noah Lyles has said he wants to do the double. He said it very loudly and very frequently. He talks a lot.
He does.
Noah Lyles. But you know what? I don't have any problem with him talking because if he wins, he can talk all he wants.
Yeah, a bunch of nerds were really mad because he said like the NBA champion is not the world champion because they don't represent the world. They just represent America.
That's correct.
But all the good international players play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true, but you're not the world champion when you're playing in America, not globally. He's from a technical standpoint, he's not wrong.
From a technical standpoint, yes. But if the Celtics played Panathinaikos, they would call the game after 3 quarters. All the good players are here. Anyway, this pissed off a lot of people. A lot of the biggest nerds you've ever met in your life. Like, well, I'm rooting against Noah Lyles because he made my friend Jason Tatum sad and cry and send out sad Instagram posts. Get a life. Oh, my God. Get a life. Anyway, he's going to win the 200 because he's better at the 200 than he is at the 100. Yes. And again, he won the 100.
I loved his quote after the race. He said, he understands that all the talking he does, he has to back it up. Like, he is very self-aware, yep. I think. As much talking as he does. He also struck me as very self-aware in his post-race comments yesterday when he was saying, I thought I was going to have to swallow my pride. He went up to the Jamaican racer, Kashani Thompson, and I told him, I think you got it. I thought you got it. And then I looked up and I saw the results and I said, oh my God, I'm incredible. I say that to myself sometimes in the mirror. Oh my God, I'm incredible. I never do that. I've never done that. Maybe we should. Maybe
could. Yeah.
Maybe good bit of affirmation, personal
Could do that.
affirmation. Anyway, Noah Lyles, fastest man in the world. That was pretty cool from the weekend. Also from the weekend, Scotty Scheffler wins gold in men's golf, a bogey-free 62 on Sunday.
I'm sorry, Dan. He was moved to tears during the anthem.
Yeah.
After winning. It was very cool.
As great a year as Scotty's had.
He's had one of the storybook years of someone ever.
6 PGA Tour wins, including the Masters, and now the gold medal.
And he has a kid.
Yeah, he and his wife had their first baby earlier this year.
He also was arrested for one of the dumbest things in the world.
Also went to jail.
Pardon the criminal.
Incredible year. Scotty Scheffler with the gold in men's golf. John Rahm was 4 up at the turn and failed to medal.
Too busy drinking beer and having hot dogs.
Talk about a great year for Scotty Scheffler. John Rahm looks like he just is miserable now playing golf. And part of me is like, man, that's a real bummer because he's a great player and I like watching him play. But the other part of me is you brought this on yourself. You took that live money. You didn't really want to. You took it anyway. And now you're miserable. And now you're not having any fun playing golf. Tough. Hope that money spends. Hope you're having that money spend well. Because it doesn't look like he's having much fun playing golf. Today, we got some gymnastics. Simone Biles, in her final events of these Olympics, actually fell off the balance beam.
Yeah.
It was a tough event. There were a lot of missed routines. It was just stunning to see Simone be one of them. She fell off the beam, failed to medal in that, took the silver in floor exercise. Jordan Childs of the United States winning the bronze in that event, her first individual medal. Rebecca Andrade of Brazil winning the gold in her final Olympics. That was a pretty cool moment to see Biles and Childs genuflect to the great Brazilian gymnast Andrade, who overcame a lot. Like, Brazil gymnastics does not have any kind of like real funding.
No, literally none.
Yeah, like Andrade's from the favelas in Brazil, like came up hard to have the career that she's had and to be as decorated as she is really remarkable. So that was pretty cool to see. Also today, U.S. women's 3-on-3 basketball takes the bronze, manages to salvage their Olympics after a really disappointing start. They end up with a bronze medal in that. And the aforementioned Noah Lyles qualified for the semifinals in the 200. The semis and the finals are tomorrow. Anything else that I missed, guys?
We had some sick volleyball today.
We did.
The men take down Brazil on the indoor game. It took 4 sets. They will play the Poles coming up 9 a.m. Wednesday. I will be watching. I will be there no matter what. Unfortunately, on the beach, Chase Budinger, the former NBA player, former Arizona Wildcat, he and partner Miles Evans were eliminated in the lucky loser bracket, which is a funny thing to say out loud, but they were finally eliminated. Great volleyball yesterday. The U.S. women looked awesome yesterday. I don't know when the other beach team plays, but Chang and Hughes yesterday were great. The women's indoor team was awesome. There's a real chance at a number of gold medals in volleyball for the U.S. this year.
Women's volleyball team's tomorrow morning against.
Oh, they're also tomorrow morning.
Yeah. They're tomorrow morning. The indoor women's volleyball team. I can't remember what team they play.
I don't remember who they're playing either.
A couple of other Olympic notes. The stakes are sometimes higher in other countries for winning medals. We sort of take it for granted in the United States because we're
better than everyone else.
We are, and we always win the most medals. But in other countries, it's a really big deal. Carlos Yulo won the men's vault in gymnastics, making him the first Olympic male gold medalist in the history of the Philippines. So he'll get a cash prize for that. He'll also get a fully furnished 2-bedroom condo and a house gifted by the government.
Yo, that's sick.
Free colonoscopies and gastroenterology consults and a lifetime supply of ramen.
Hey, man, I'll be honest with you.
Very random, all those things together.
That does seem very random. I'll tell you what, man. You get the colon checked out. Get your prostate checked out. That's very important.
Stakes are also
I'd be
high.
very happy.
Stakes are also high if you don't medal. Tom Kim, the Korean professional golfer, 2-time winner on the PGA Tour. If he had medaled, he would have gotten out of the mandatory military service that every male in South Korea must partake in. He didn't medal. He's going to have to serve in the military.
Wow.
Yeah. They'll put him in the Air Force, probably. He'll be all right. Let's do it for the Olympic roundup. We got the 5 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk coming up, including the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, coming up at 5:25. That's coming up from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of 580 Sports Talk for this Monday afternoon on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. From the Kansas Drive to Zero studio, this is Dan Lucero with Brendan Dworzinski and Spencer Dupuis, and our producer-engineer, our summer intern, Trenton Kraxner. We appreciate you being along with us. We are here for one more hour, and then we'll have some overtime for you prior to Royals baseball. The Royals and the Red Sox. Game 1 of a 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium. First pitch at 7:10. We'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network at 6:30. So you'll have some 580 Sports Talk overtime from 6 to 6:30 here on 580 WIBW. Coming up in this final hour of the show, we'll hear from Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He will join us for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and by Zurich Credit Union. Today, we're going to hear from Trent McDuffie and Mitch Holthus's perspective on the third-year All-Pro cornerback for the Chiefs. We'll also do some previewing of tonight's Royals-Red Sox series opener. But we began the hour, as we began all of our 5 o'clock hours on this show, with the 580 Sports Talk headlines. And we're going to begin by giving a hand to the two gentlemen who sit in this room with me for winning awards from the Kansas Association of Broadcasters earlier today. I want to congratulate my colleagues, Brendan and Spencer, on being honored by, you don't have to wave every time I say your name, Spence. Everybody knows on the video that that's you.
Just in case you were learning. First time.
Yeah, if you're
first
new.
time viewer.
If you're new, yeah. Anyhow.
That's a great reflexive response, though.
It really is.
Pavlovian.
It just turned like we're doing the credits to an 80s TV show. Starring Spencer Dupuis as Spencer. Yeah. A little freeze frame.
Great bit.
Yeah, now I want you to keep doing it, actually. The Kansas Association of Broadcasters released their awards of excellence for 2024. And Brendan Dworzinski received an award for his play-by-play with KTPK as a voice of the Washburn Ichabods, and an award, second place, for the Sportscast. And Spencer received an honorable mention in the Sportscast department as well. So I wanted to make that known and congratulate both of you guys publicly.
Hype yourself up, too.
I'm about to say, what are we doing here?
Let's get to the main event here.
I don't like to talk about myself, but I did win an award as well. I was awarded first place in the play-by-play department, and that's a great honor, which I greatly appreciate. But no, just wanted to share that with the listeners and congratulate you guys. You all do tremendous work, and I'm proud to be associated with both of you.
Well, thank you, Dan.
Congratulations.
We appreciate that. I appreciate that and feel the same way about you. And in case you had any sort of concerns about who does the best sports talk radio and best play-by-play in the state of Kansas and thought it was someone other than us, you were wrong.
This is a room full of award-winning sports broadcasters.
The only way
really
this would get better is if there was an actual category for a sports talk show. That would be the only way it would get better.
We'd win. They don't need to have it because we'd win.
Yeah, we just take it for granted. We'd be working on an incredible streak of wins in that department. But I did want to congratulate you guys on the radio and let the people know. So anyway, that is my first headline today. Let's get into some sports headlines, shall we?
All right, first one for me today. Let's get to some injury updates for the Kansas City Royals. We have a comment in the YouTube live chat from Jayhawker. Has James MacArthur been released yet? No, he is still a member of the Kansas City Royals, but we do have some pitching news to be specific about. John Schreiber threw for the first time without a brace since getting hurt against the Chicago Cubs 2 Sundays ago. He is making progress. Also, Dan Altavilla dealing with his lat and oblique injuries. He is headed to a rehab assignment at AAA Omaha beginning tomorrow. So there's some positivity for the Royals today. We also already know the Royals lineup for today. Let's get you that real quick here. All in support of Brady Singer getting the call tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Michael Garcia leads off at third. Bobby Witt Jr. at short. Vinny P. at first. Sally behind the dish. That's your top 4 per usual. Hitting fifth, Hunter Renfroe. Sixth, Michael Massey. He's taking over second base today. It'll be Freddie Fermin DHing. Garrett Hampson in left field. Kyle Isbell manning center field at the K. Again, all in support of Brady Singer starting today for the Royals. It'll be James Paxton going for the Red Sox tonight. First pitch at 7:10, pregame at 6:30. You can hear pre, post, and the game itself here on 580 WIBW following a little 580 Sports Talk overtime this evening.
Red Sox have 7 lefties in the lineup, so Get ready to learn change up, Brady Singer.
That
7 lefties.
That will not
Crazy.
be happening. It had better be a well-located fastballs and sliders from Brady Singer. He's pitched really, really well as of late, and going to have to be at his sharpest, certainly, against a lefty-heavy Red Sox
Is he
lineup.
the most unsung pitcher on the staff?
Probably.
In a sense.
He's up there in the AL in ERA.
We focus, and this is not a phenomenon unique to Brady Singer. This is just a general sports consumption and sports media phenomenon that sometimes we can focus on what a player can't do or what a player isn't, and then sometimes we miss the forest for the trees a little bit, and we miss what a guy can actually do. It is fair, certainly, to be critical of Brady Singer's career-long failure to earn a third pitch. But we better point out while we're doing it, he's carrying a 2.88 earned run average in 22 starts.
He's making the MLB.
He's making every turn. He's pitched 125 innings, so he's given them length. He's striking out over 8 guys per 9 and walking fewer than 3 per 9 and allowing less than a home run per 9. He's been outstanding. And we should recognize how outstanding he has been without having to add the caveat sometimes of, well, he never learned a third pitch. Yeah, his first 2 pitches have been pretty damn good this year. So let's give him credit where he is due. That being said, against a lefty-heavy lineup, if he is not sharp, that can be troublesome for him because of that failure to develop a third pitch.
Peripherals have gotten a little bit better over time. I mean, they're still not projecting, wow, he's actually been super elite when you look at some of the advanced stuff. But, I mean, it was looking very bleak for a while, and now he's just a little bit above league average in terms of average exit velocity against him, how hard other teams are hitting him. He's still well above league average in terms of his walk rate. Strikeouts are right at league average. Gets a lot of ground balls. He's been good.
After the disappointment of 2023, we wondered if that 2022 season that he had where he was excellent, we wondered if that was going to be the outlier for him. Doesn't look like it. Looks like, he's settled in as a quality mid-rotation starting pitcher. And you know what those guys do? Make a lot of money.
And win you a lot of games.
And help you win a lot of games. No doubt about that. All right, Spencer, first headline for you.
Yes, Jalen Daniels has been selected to the Walter Camp preseason watch list. So he adds another preseason watch list to his list. He was already named to the Maxwell preseason award watch list. Excuse me. I'm about choking up there. I don't know why.
Very emotional for Jalen Daniels to be named for
not
that.
really emotional, just caught up in the speech right there. So another award watch list for Jalen Daniels, and that brings, what do we had? 2, 4, 6 total award watch lists for KU players.
The Walter Camp Award, like the Maxwell Award, goes to the outstanding player in the country, just from a different distributor of the award. But congratulations to Jalen Daniels for winding up on that list. We've got some NFL headlines. We'll go ahead and we'll sprint through these. Big one locally today is the new contract for Harrison Butker that makes him the highest paid kicker in the NFL. A 4-year extension worth $25.6 million, $17.75 million guaranteed, and $6.4 million per year. That makes him the highest paid kicker, both total value and average annual value per year in the league. I did not realize until we were talking to Matt Verderame about this earlier in the show. He's never even made a Pro Bowl, never mind All-Pro. But when was the last time you worried about a big kick when it was Harrison Butker standing over it?
2 years ago, because he had that streak where he just kept missing extra points. He didn't miss a big field goal, but he kept missing extra points.
He hurt his ankle in the opener against the Cardinals, and then it never felt like he got it all the way right all year. And yet, who made the winning field goal in the Super Bowl?
It was Harrison Butker.
I mean, every time they have needed him to make a big kick in a big game, Harrison Butker has delivered. Absolutely. Pay him, keep him long-term, make him the highest paid kicker in the league. It's a no-brainer for the Chiefs to take care of somebody who's been an instrumental part, like as instrumental a part of a dynasty as a kicker can be.
Is he part of the core?
Yeah.
I think that Nate Taylor from The Athletic brought that up earlier. I think there's certainly an argument for that. Additionally, we had a texter on the Top City Metal Supply text line who asked, is this the most a kicker has ever been paid? Has anyone been paid more? No, this is an NFL record for a kicker.
Kind of funny that you can identify, the kickers of the dynastic teams. It's funny in that way. Like the Big Red Machine, Roy Gorella, with the Patriots, obviously Vinatieri, and then Gostkowski on the back end of that dynasty. The second portion of the dynasty was every bit as effective. And but Butker is synonymous with this run of success. Other NFL notes: Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins agreeing to a new deal. $90 million extension over 3 years, $65 million in guaranteed money. Hill keeps saying he's not going to play after the conclusion of his current contract. So he keeps moving the parameters of his contract. He's got 3 years, $65 million in guaranteed money. How much of that is going to child support is none of our business, but it is a not unsubstantial portion, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. We're gonna get some Adrian Peterson like seasons out of Tyreek Hill here. He now is gonna be with them for quite a while. This new contract takes him through 2026 with 3 void years to try to mellow out some of those cap hits. The final year of this contract has a $55 million cap hit with no dead money. We'll see how that goes. Also, Matt Verderame mentioned it earlier. Like, this is just what the Dolphins are going to do. They're just going to spend a ton on their wide receivers. He said that Jalen Waddle will probably get paid at some point. Jalen Waddle has gotten paid. He got his big contract. In fact, I had it pulled up a little bit earlier on. Jalen Waddle, who's a good player, I like him a lot. He is going to make, over the course of his new deal, my computer is so slow, it is absolutely agonizing sometimes. 3 years, $84.75 million. So he got paid, and he is also under contract through 2028 now, because that was a true extension onto his deal.
Doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on plan A, which is be faster than the next team. And when it works, it's a thing of beauty. And then it becomes November and December and it stops working.
Like, what if you need to pay for a lineman who's not just like they signed Aaron Brewer to be their center this year. Aaron Brewer is better than what they had, but he's still like the 19th best center in the NFL, probably. Like, he's not changing anything on that line. It's just I don't get it. It feels like a team that's trying to sell tickets. I hate to sound, offense sells tickets, but defense wins game. Like, no, that kind of feels like what they're doing.
3 other quick NFL notes. Veteran safety Quandre Diggs has found a new home. He is signed with the Tennessee Titans after spending the last handful of seasons in Seattle with the Seahawks. The Bengals, without defensive end Cam Sample for the entire 2024 season. He tore his Achilles at practice. Sample plays a big rotational role in that 3-down lineman front for the Bengals. They've already got their 2 defensive ends, Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, dealing with injuries during this preseason. So an ominous start at that position for the Bengals. And there are rumors, but nothing being reported right now, about the possibility that maybe Brandon Ayuk might find a new home. Lots of rumors that perhaps there have been talks between the 49ers and the Steelers about a trade that would send Ayuk to Pittsburgh, but nothing confirmed yet.
One real quick thing for you, Dan, before we get to a commercial break here. You've watched a lot of Seahawks football in recent years.
Yes, I have.
The safety room for the Seahawks the last 2 or 3 seasons. How would you grade the Seahawks safeties play over the last 2 to 3 years?
I actually think Quandre Diggs is really good.
I think he's a good player.
I don't know that the rest of that room, like Julian Love played pretty well last year. Like, they've had their problems. I think it's been more about scheme, honestly, than it has been about personnel. I actually think the safeties are fine, but it is kind of funny that the Titans have reunited Diggs and Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
I don't know if Jamal Adams is going to make the 53. I think he might be cooked.
His athleticism is just completely gone. What I was gleaning, reading about this over the last 24 hours or so, a lot of people who seem to think Quandre Diggs has something left in the tank, but had kind of given up on the defense, whether that was a personal thing or he had no faith in the coordinator in Seattle, which I don't blame him at all, because it was rough. I don't know why Pete Carroll couldn't hire a better DC the last 3 years, but I just think it's funny that a defense that needed an upgrade and went with a defensive-minded head coach, their safeties ended up in Tennessee playing as teammates again.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't have done that, but then again, I also wouldn't have drafted Will Levis.
Yeah, I don't know what the long-range plan there is in Tennessee.
Like, in theory, I kind of like their offseason. Like, Calvin Ridley. Hey, they improved their wide receiver room. They have added a bunch of defensive players that they really needed. I thought their draft was okay. Is Will Levis your guy? Because if so, good luck.
That'll do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll take a break. When we come back, the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, joins us for a training camp report from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. .526 on 580 Sports Talk, and it is our pleasure to be joined via telephone by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and by Azure Credit Union. Contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, or Kristen Ambergy about the credit union advantage in getting your first or next home loan. Mitch, it is a game week for the Chiefs. They head to Jacksonville for their preseason opener on Saturday, and judging by some of the skirmishes that have gone on during some of the practices, this is a team that is ready to go hit somebody in a different uniform. I think they get to that point right around now, it feels like, in Andy Reid's training camp. They're fired up at this point to go and play a real football game.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they don't have the fights like you've seen on some of these reels. Pittsburgh had a nasty one. Coach hates them. They're counterproductive, and he but you're in a game, they're a penalty. So, but you can tell some of the emotions are frayed. And the defense won't back down. That's kind of caused some of it. The defense gets so frustrated because we've had huge crowds, but the crowd will always cheer for the offense. And if the defense makes a play, there's this disappointment. It's just the way we are, I think. We love offense until we're playing somebody, and then, hey, let's cheer for the defense. But I think they get a little frustrated, and they get to sick of taking it. So it's probably ready, but we're not there yet. We got 2 more days in pads scheduled where we're going to get after it before we go to Jacksonville.
Speaking of the defense, let's show some love to the defense on today's training camp report, Mitch. And let's talk about the all-pro defensive back, Trent McDuffie, who I have found in his now 3 years as a Chief to be one of the most interesting players to listen to talk. I think this is a really sharp guy. I think he really has a great handle of what's going on around him. I think he's somebody who really has an interesting perspective on not just what he is called upon to do, but what the rest of his teammates are called upon to do. He's a really interesting guy and a really smart guy, and it's no surprise that he has become already such an integral part of this defense. We're going to hear from him today.
Again, there's so many underrated stories to this team. And the bright lights of Pat and Kels and Coach, or not so much Coach, but Pat and Kels overshadow so many things. One of them is the 5 guys of the 2022 draft class in the defensive backfield. I don't want to leave Karlaftis out of this, or Pacheco, or Chenal. But the 5 DBs, Joshua Williams, Najee Johnson, Brian Cook, Jalen Watson, those 5 guys are a combined, along with McDuffie, are a combined 35-0 in the playoffs. Now, the valedictorian of this group is McDuffie. You're dead on about him. He's physically gifted. I love the fact that he made All-Pro, which is really among the players the best thing you can get, more than Pro Bowl, which is kind of a popularity contest. All-Pro seems to be the litmus test of what the league thinks of you as a player. And of the young corners in this league, Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain Jr., and others now in that category, McDuffie's in that same sentence. So here's Trent McDuffie waiting for his 3rd year and realizing his role takes on a much bigger scope.
Man, it's exciting. I mean, it's crazy. I'm on year 3, so I can definitely feel everything I felt rookie year with the rookies coming in, not knowing the plays, everything's new, being out there like your head's cut off. And then the 2nd year and being a year under your belt and coming back with a little more confidence and trying to learn the playbook a little more. Just knowing this defense, we're a bunch of hard-nosed football players. And Coach Spags loves that, and he will tell you every time he sees you, our cornerbacks will tackle and our safeties will cover. And I think that's just so dynamic because you'll see guys playing the nickel, playing the corner, playing the safety. Like, we got a group of guys that can do it all, truly, jack of all trades. And being in a system like that has made it so much fun because you can do so much. You know, it's football. You're used to just playing on the outside, playing the corner all game. But nah, let me go at the nickel. Let me play the safety. Let me see something else. So I would hate to be an opposing quarterback just trying to figure out what guys where. But for us, it's been a lot of fun.
And he touched on it there. I chuckle every time. It's like your head's cut off. Now in this 3rd year, he takes on a leadership role, not only taking more of a role in the scheme, but in a role in helping the other guys. But it's the 5 DBs in that 2022 class of which Trent would be the leader. They are so smart as well as being talented. The other big piece of these guys, and it was from day one, I noticed they were very mature emotionally and mentally. You would hire every one of them. You would work for every one of them. They're just a unique, special group that has really gone underappreciated because of all of the other stuff involved with this team. But McDuffie now is climbing, and he is number 2 in NFL history of corners in the first 2 years in quarterback hits, forced fumbles, and sacks. He does not have an interception yet. To me, it's probably the weirdest stat of our defense. But I feel like he's on the cusp of getting like 6 of them. I feel like once he gets 1, he's going to get a whole bunch. But Trent McDuffie is a star and a leader on this team, and way more important than I think our fans give him credit for.
I loved what he said there, talking about the modus operandi of this defense and saying that if you're a corner, you're going to tackle, and if you're a safety, you're going to cover. And the hallmark of not just McDuffie, but seems like a lot of the guys they brought into the organization at defensive back over the last couple of years, particularly with Brett Veach as the GM, has been that versatility, that ability to do a lot of different things as a defensive back, cover and play with physicality. Safeties who have the ability to play like cornerbacks, and cornerbacks who have the ability to, the mindset to be able to play like a safety. And I just think that's extremely rare, but I think that's a big part, Mitch, of what makes this Chiefs defense so great on the back end.
A lot of corners in this league break out in a rash if they have to tackle. And being uber talented as the fighter pilots in the NFL, which are the cornerbacks, they've got to be, if you're going to have a great defense, they've got to be willing to be physical and tackle. Every one of the Chiefs are that way. And McDuffie's definitely that way. Plus, he'll make, said no interceptions, but think of his play in Germany against Tyreek Hill. Super physical, jams him, and then strips the ball all in one action. Rips it from the flesh of Tyreek Hill, who's not only fast, he's strong. But McDuffie rips it out of there. Then they get the recovery by Mike Edwards, who flips it back to Cook, who goes for a touchdown. That's just an example of how McDuffie does subtle things. We are not celebrating a back-to-back Super Bowl championship had not McDuffie blitzed on third down to get San Francisco off the field in Super Bowl 58. If San Francisco gets a first down on that play and the guy's open, then they run out the clock. We can't stop it. Or if we get it back, it's going to be microseconds. His play, McDuffie, the most underrated play of Super Bowl 58, was the biggest play perhaps in that game that people don't talk about. But it just shows you the impact of Trent McDuffie and how you win with him either in subtle ways or direct ways.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk with Dan, Brendan, and Spencer for our Chiefs Training Camp Report, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. There's been a lot of talk, Mitch, during camp this year and really over the course of the offseason after L'Jarius Sneed, of course, was traded away about, oh, well, this means that Trent McDuffie's got to be in the slot. Well, he can't be in the slot because maybe he'll have to guard guys outside. To me, the best way to use Trent McDuffie is to move him around and give him the flexibility to, in some matchups, be manned up on someone in the slot. But in some other matchups, have him on the outside where the other team's best receiver is a perimeter guy. What do you think is the most effective use of Trent McDuffie's skill set? And is the answer just using him wherever you need him to be because he's so good at so many things?
Yeah, it's the oval and all of the above. You nailed it. It's not like he's going to set out there. There's some misconceptions. And actually, Sneed did that. Sneed moved around. And he and McDuffie last year, the last 2 years, would kind of flip-flop and trade positions, again, making it difficult for a quarterback to recognize not only scheme, but personnel. But the best thing Trent McDuffie does right now is blitz a quarterback like the Bosa boys. He gets after a quarterback like a Max Crosby type or George Karlaftis type rusher, because he has a target point, he's under control, and yet he's so forceful. And his movements are so quick that a quarterback, much like Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl, does not have time to react. Even if the QB sees, oh, blitz, open receiver should be there, he's got no chance to even make that play because of McDuffie pouncing right on him. Now, McDuffie can also cover on the outside. So, that being said, Spags likes to do different things and move people around. Go back to your corners like to tackle, safeties like to cover. There's so much mixing and matching done in this defense that if you pigeonhole guys in either roles or positions, you're going to be way wrong, because this team is got a multiplicity of assets that they can use individually and collectively.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he joins us daily throughout Chiefs training camp for a training camp report presented by Hy-Vee and by Azura Credit Union. Mitch, who do we get to hear from tomorrow?
Well, this week, remember last week I had the headliners. I had the Pro Football Hall of Fame guys, Chris Jones, Mahomes, Kelsey, Reid. This week it's the guys who are maybe in the on-deck circle of, or how do you make this team even better? Going into 2024. McDuffie's one of those, probably leading the class in that regard. But Hollywood Brown is where we go tomorrow, because Hollywood Brown, well, we'll just study him, what he's done to this point, and why he has a chance to do way more in this offense and with this quarterback and in this environment than he's ever done before. The Chiefs may have gotten a lot more than they think they got in this deal. So that's where we go tomorrow.
The training camp reports go Hollywood tomorrow here on 580 Sports Talk. Again, Mitch Holthus' training camp reports are brought to you by Hy-Vee and by Azura Credit Union. Mitch, it is always a pleasure. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, my friend.
That is Mitch Holthus. Before we get to a break, we promised you audio from Chamarri Conner earlier in the show, and this is probably an appropriate place to do it, as we just heard from Trent McDuffie, and we talked about McDuffie and this defensive backfield for the Chiefs, corners who play like safeties, safeties who play like corners. Chamarri Conner right now is living in both worlds. He's getting reps at both slot corner and safety, more and more starting to emerge as that first-choice slot corner right now for Steve Spagnuolo and his defense. Chamarri Conner, the second-year man for Virginia Tech, spoke to the media earlier today. Here's a portion of what he had to say.
I mean, like, you were here last year, but multiple positions in training camp, moving around a little bit and trying to get a grasp for everything.
It's just been great, a long process. Definitely learning all the different spots, all the different positions, but it's definitely been great. Been getting a lot of help from the guys. Even since last year, been getting a lot of help from the older safeties, training at the nickel spot. So it's been great.
What is your comfort level specifically at that nickel spot?
I'm very comfortable at the nickel spot. Been playing it since high school. Just had to, get back into it, but I'm definitely very comfortable right there.
Right, what about that position at nickel allows you to be a more impact player than maybe traditional safety?
I feel like the nickel spot in a lot of defenses is the playmaker spot. So a guy who can be very versatile, do a lot of different jobs. So I think that's a good spot for me.
How much easier is it now that you've got a little time under your belt, you've been in the scheme? Does this feel different in camp now, being a little more advanced?
Yeah, it definitely feels different. Last year, coming out here playing against Pat, it was tough for all the motions, all the different things we do. This year, it definitely slowed down a lot. So, yeah.
Is there a different mindset depending on the position you play, or does every position have the same mindset?
I say they all have the same approach. I look at it just playing football. You have a different job, but I look at it as the same.
That's why that was Trent's spot last year, that nickel spot. What's he shared with you? What has he talked to you about?
We've been talking even last year, sitting next to each other in the meeting rooms, just watching film. If I got a question, I tap him, ask him how he feel about it, what he think about this play or whatnot. But he's definitely been helping me every day. We go back and forth, asking each other how we feel about plays. So it's been great to have him.
How challenging has it been going against some of these speedy wide receivers out there in camp?
It's very challenging, but it's great practice, great work going against these guys to get ready for the season. So I'm loving it.
Do you think Trent set that bar high with what it could do with this defense last year?
Oh yeah, he definitely did, and I'm just stepping in, trying to step up and make some plays.
How much did last year's postseason run for you, Chamarri, sort of set you up for this season? And did you feel like you needed to have that to have the confidence, obviously going from year one to year two?
Yeah, I say I definitely needed that. It was a great postseason. I definitely think it helped me a lot, being able to get all those plays under my belt and playing those big-time games. So, yeah, it definitely helped me help my confidence.
Is there a favorite moment you had of last year's postseason run for yourself?
I would say winning the Super Bowl. So.
Okay, y'all have some loyal fans. They're out there. They're still screaming. Practice is done. Just talk about what this atmosphere and what their loyalty means to you.
It means everything to us. We got great fans. They show up every day. They out there cheering. We come out. We walking down the hill. They cheering for us. So it's definitely a great feeling. Give you that real sense of the season is near. So it's definitely great.
You said you played nickel in high school. Not a lot of guys, I think, are pigeonholed into one role in high school. Is that just because you rotated in there, or did you specifically play nickel?
I specifically played nickel. I still moved around, still had different jobs, safety, corner, but yeah, I played a lot of nickel.
So you get recruited, as a nickel at that time, mostly?
I was recruited as a nickel and a safety. Yeah.
I think it was a week ago, Andy said that what stands about Trent is that he's always on balance. What does that mean to you as a quarterback, and how do you see that in Trent's game?
You said
he's always on balance. I think it's sort of like.
Oh yeah. He's a very technical corner. He got a lot of different things that he can do. He played a lot of great man coverage. I love just watching him, watching his feet and how calm his feet is in his reps for sure.
a couple more. Nate, wrap it up with Nate. What's Steve telling you? What is Steve trying to challenge you at this point in camp so far?
He just pushes me every day. Still learning every day. Still learning in the meeting room every day. But as far as on the field, he still pushes me. Go hard, run back to the huddle. Just push me on me, making sure I'm doing my job, and just continuing to coach me.
So that was Chamarri Connor of the Kansas City Chiefs speaking to the media out in St. Joe earlier today. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back, preview tonight's Royals-Red Sox game as we round third and head for home here in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio on 580 Sports Talk. .46 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, Trenton. Good news if you're scoreboard watching. The Arizona Diamondbacks are all over Logan Allen of the Cleveland Guardians. A 2-0 Arizona lead in Cleveland as they open up a series tonight. Arizona, hottest teams in baseball over the last month or so. Took 2 out of 3 from the Royals, and they have already homered twice in the top of the first. Ketel Marte and Gabriel Moreno opening the game, back-to-back home runs.
Oh, who would have thought Logan Allen throwing batting practice?
Yes, Logan Allen.
Who thought?
Big cheeks. The Guardians have the second lowest total wins above replacement from their starting pitchers this year.
More like Shogun Allen because he's getting disemboweled out here.
Got him.
It's a historical burn for you.
That's very well done. That's some scoreboard watching tonight. Also, Minnesota is at Chicago, the Brendan's Cubs could do the Royals a favor.
The real Major League Baseball Chicago team, not the
right.
AAA affiliate that plays on the South Side.
Do you know who leads Major League Baseball in wins? Who is the best? Well, I should say, who has the best record in baseball? Do you guys know?
The best record in
Talking
baseball?
about team or
Team.
I think it's Cleveland.
The Guardians, right?
Yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trenton told me that today. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
What?
They are 2 up in the loss column. They have 67 wins. So does Baltimore, New York, the Yankees. But Cleveland is 2 clear in the loss column. And the Phillies have 66 wins. The Dodgers 65.
Phillies frauds or for real?
No, they've had a miserable month.
Yeah.
Or a couple of weeks anyway. But no, they're for real.
Bryce Harper had a stretch where he was like 2 for 59 or something.
He was in a 1 for 30. Yeah.
1 for 30. Yeah. Oof.
Did you see their outfielder, center fielder did you see that viral video?
I don't think so.
He thought he lost track of a ball and it was going to be a home run, but he indeed caught it and didn't even know it was in his goal. Like he couldn't see. He got the sun killed him.
Jeez. Bad to worse for Logan Allen. He took a line drive off the head.
Oh, no.
From Randall Grichuk. He has stayed in the game, but
he's
given up 2 home runs and gotten hit in the dome by a line drive already.
Huge big brain move to say, well, I got hit in the head. How can I pitch well? Totally excusing this.
You know who's only 5 games back of the best record in baseball, though?
I know.
The Kansas City Royals.
Can you imagine telling someone that in March?
No.
I was very optimistic about this team, so I wouldn't have been surprised. I was the most optimistic of the 3 of us.
You would have been surprised. You were optimistic. You said, 500.
I wanted to say above 500, but people were going to come for me.
I would have.
Have the courage of your convictions, Spencer.
Yeah. Block out the haters. Be like Noah Lyles. Just keep talking. Even when the haters
I can go
come
around
for
and
you.
say this now, but I was thinking 85 to 90 wins. I just had a feeling.
Spencer, I don't believe you.
See,
wanted to
moment of perseverance. The haters don't believe you. You just got to keep pushing. Tomorrow,
the haters.
I actually thought they were going to win 93. You just keep pushing it.
The haters and the doubters. One of which is sitting to your immediate right, Spencer.
Yeah.
What did I say? 72, I think.
72 would have
been a great year.
You were
it would have been 16 games up.
I think you were the low man at like 72. I was at 75. I think maybe 76.
No, it was 81, 78, 75.
That's what
we were all 3 apart.
Yeah, we were all 3 apart. Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah.
A 19-win improvement would have been outrageous.
Yes, incredible. They are 63 and 50. Half a game behind Minnesota for the second wild card, 5 behind Cleveland in the Central, and 2.5 games up on the Boston Red Sox, who come calling for 3 games starting tonight. Red Sox are off of a series win against Texas. I think you can officially write off the Rangers. They're 9.5 out of a playoff spot. They're done. Houston's fading. They're 5 out of a playoff spot, only 1 back in the West. Tampa Bay's 5 out of a playoff spot. It really does seem like it's 7 for 6 at this point. Maybe 8 for 6 because Houston is still in the West. But I don't see Tampa Bay making a run and making a dent in the East. We're down to 8 for 6, and the Royals are one of those. The Red Sox tonight will start the recently acquired James Paxton, the veteran left-hander acquired essentially off of waivers in a trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is making his second start as a Red Sox. His first start, he allowed 6 runs, 3 earned in 4 1/3 innings. A left-hander. Royals, though, not going to shy away from putting left-handed bats in the lineup. Michael Massey is in the lineup tonight. Kyle Isbell is in the lineup tonight. And Michael Garcia is hitting leadoff.
I would have betted for Mean there.
I would have,
I
too.
think it's weird, and I like that. Yeah. I would prefer that, to be completely frank with you. Did you know I once saw Texas Rangers picture day? And I don't mean the baseball team. I mean the actual Texas Rangers.
No, I did not know that.
They were taking group pictures on the lawn of the Texas State Capitol.
And you were there that day.
I was there that day.
You just happened to be in Austin.
Yes, it was the weekend of my bachelor party.
Oh.
Yeah, we went and we were there before the rest of our group. So we went to the Capitol and explored the legislature, and it was like, wow, this is cool. And we walked outside, and all sorts of men with huge hats and guns were walking around. And I thought, oh no, they saw my internet history. But no, it turns out they were just having a big group picture.
It's a big series. Brady Singer will try and get it started on the right foot tonight. 6:30 pregame, 7:10 first pitch, Royals, Red Sox at the K. Going to be hot tonight, like kind of gross hot, but the next two nights should be a little more temperate. And hopefully it's good crowds. I would imagine it'll be very good crowds at the K. First week of August, waning days of summer, Royals in a race. These are the good times.
Yep.
Savor these as a Royals fan.
Biggest series with playoff implications since middle of August in 2017.
I believe it.
And stats back that up.
It's been 7 years. 7 years since the Royals played in a series that meant this much in the month of August.
I used to pray for times like this.
Brandon Moss was starting for the Royals the last time they owned a playoff spot in the standings.
In August.
Been a while.
It has. So this will be a fun one tonight. Stay tuned. We'll have it for you here on 580 WIBW. But first, the final word on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up, walking off this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Spencer, start us.
I am so glad I get to watch these Kansas City Royals against the Boston Red Sox tonight in playoff position because I cannot watch my Nationals, sadly, tonight because one and only Patrick Corbin's pitching, counting down the number of starts till he is no longer on the team. He gave up a leadoff homer, and the Nats are going to lose to the Giants because they're not great right now. I'll admit it.
I can already see the breaking news from Jeff Passan. Chicago White Sox signed starting pitcher Patrick Corbin, 1 year, $4 million.
I would love for that to happen, for somebody else to feel what it's been like to have Patrick Corbin as your pitcher.
Brandon, final word.
Final word for me today is American volleyball is better than your favorite country's volleyball team. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my backside. Gold medal incoming. Brazil, get the hell out.
Final word.
Our sport.
Our game. Final word for me. The boys are fighting at Chiefs camp. It was Drew Tranquil and Isaiah Pacheco scuffling after Pacheco won a pass protection rep. Jack Cochran and Rashee Rice got into it today. Rashee Rice threw a football at Jack Cochran. Then he threw up. There was a lot going on at Chiefs camp today. Don't read too much into that. The boys are just ready to go hit somebody in a different color uniform for a change. This always happens about this stage of training camp. They're antsy for a game, and they get one on Saturday. Yes, folks, this is a Chiefs game week. The two-time defending champions back on the gridiron this Saturday against Jacksonville. That'll do it for 580 Sports Talk. We got some overtime before we hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network at 6:30. We'll be back with you tomorrow from 2 until 6. Until then, for Trenton, Brendan, and Spencer, I'm Dan from the Kansas Drive to Zero Studios. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.